All right. Welcome back to the live show. You know what time it is? It is your boy Genesis. It is currently 10:54 p.m. and of course today's date is the 21st of August 2025. It is about to be fall in about a month. I think fall starts in September on September 22nd. That's supposed to be like the official day fall starts. But yeah, can you imagine it was just literally summer 2 seconds ago, like 2 seconds ago. Okay. And now we're about to be, going into autumn. All right. We are back for another one. The OG, the 45th, now the 47th President of the United States, President Donald J. Trump, joins police officers amidst crime crackdown in Washington, D.C. All right. So all of this has been going viral for sure. The DC uh, situation where the president was like, we cannot have high crime in DC. That is supposed to be a very safe place because, of course, the White House is in DC. So it deserves to be safe. All right. The people in DC and across the United States deserves to be safe. So this right here is the commander in chief here commending the people who have been deployed to actually keep and make DC safe. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you to you guys for tuning in. This is the Genesis Show. It is your boy Genesis. All right. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for liking. Turn on your notification bell. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. Don't forget, this is the United States. This is not the divided state. So be nice. Okay. Be nice in the comment section and let's have a good time. All right. Here we go. Country before parties. All right. Whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, it is country before party. Enjoy.
Be very careful. You don't want to slip or fall. Hello, everybody. How are you, everybody? What a nice group. What a nice group. Thank you. Thank you. Got to be very careful. You don't want to slip or fall like somebody else I know. We don't want that to happen. Where are we going, Margot? Over here? Hello, everybody. It's great to be with you. You guys are doing a fantastic job, and gals doing an amazing job, and we appreciate it. The numbers are down like we wouldn't believe, but we believe it. Where do I stand here? Right where? Okay, hello. It's a healthy, attractive-looking group of people. It's good. Well, I just want to thank everybody very much for being here. I wanted to do this. We've had some incredible results. The results have come out, and it's like a different place. It's like a different city. It's the capital. It's going to be the best in the world. We're going to do what you're doing with law enforcement, and very importantly also, we're going to physically do it. We're going back to Congress for some money, and we're going to redo a lot of the pavement, a lot of the medians, a lot of the graffiti's all coming off real fast. It's going to come down real fast. We're working with Clark Construction. They're one of the big ones. They're the biggest here by far, actually. And we're going to be not so much building, it's cleaning and fixing and redoing and putting brand new surfaces down on your roads and streets. And when people come in from the airport all the way to the Capitol or the White House or any place else they go, and they're going to say, boy, this place is spotless. So we're doing that. Most importantly, though, we're going to have a crowd of people that are going to be happy. You know, I've received more phone calls from people in the last 4 days than I ever have. I've been here now 4 years plus. And by the way, I think we had about the best 7 months, they're saying, that any president's had. We've done a lot of work. We've done a lot of good work. including the biggest tax cuts that you've ever had. I know you guys don't care about taxes, so you don't care about saving a little tax, but you saved a lot of tax, actually. But we've had a great period of time. But I've never received so many phone calls thanking me for what we've done in Washington, D.C., from people that haven't gone to a restaurant literally in 4 years. And they said, you know, what you've done it's unprecedented, because what they said, it was just unsafe. We couldn't do it. We'd go out and you'd see the stories, you'd read the stories, you'd see all of the things that are happening. And they said, we couldn't stand it, sir. And now I take my wife and my kids to dinner. One of them said he's gone out 4 nights in a row, and he hadn't gone out for 4 years. So it's a great tribute to you. And when I look at you people, I understand why, because there's no games, right? We're not playing games. We're going to make it safe. And we're going to then go on to other places. But we're going to stay here for a while. We want to make this absolutely perfect. It's our capital. And I guess it used to be many years ago safe, but it's certainly not had a very good run. And you got to be strong. You got to be tough. You got to do your job. Whatever it takes to do your job, you got to do your job. But the crime numbers are way down. I'm looking at, you saw some of the stats. They just read them out to me inside. The numbers that we haven't seen here ever, actually ever. And I think it's probably right now, to me, I feel very safe now, and I'm hearing people are very safe, but I know within 2 weeks it's going to be, Pam, it's going to be at a level that's even far superior. So I just wanted to thank you all. You're doing incredible. You're incredible people. You make the country run, frankly. You make the whole place run. We're going to have the best Capitol ever. We're going to have it's going to look better than it ever did. Even at the White House, I'm building a ballroom. They've been after a ballroom for 150 years, but they never had a real estate guy as a president. You know, I've done a lot of ballrooms, and we're going to make this one the best of them all. But we're doing a real job. As far as the country's concerned, we're respected again. We had a country that was laughed at a year ago. They thought they couldn't understand what was happening, and it's about leadership. But we had a country that was a dead country in many ways. I went to Saudi Arabia. I went to Qatar. I went to UAE. We came back with $5.1 trillion of investment in this country, and we're over $17 trillion. Now, a lot of you don't know what that means, and nobody knows what it means because it's never happened before. In 5 months, because really it's a 5-month, even though we're here 7, but we started 5 months ago in terms of investment, and we have, because they see what's happened to our country, we're going to be over 17 trillion with a T, dollars of investment. There's never been anything close. If we did 1 trillion in a year, and we're talking about over a 5-month period, maybe 6 months if you look at it, but over $17 trillion. We're building plants, auto plants, AI plants, all sorts of plants all over the country. I'm giving them the right. Lee Zeldin's done a fantastic job. We're giving them the right to build electric plants. They become almost like a public utility because we have old grids. We have a lot of stuff that's old. We wouldn't be able to compete with China AI. And now we're totally leading the AI race and the artificial intelligence. It's a big deal. And it's the hottest thing there is for probably in 35, 40 years. It's a lot of people don't know what it is. Just trust me, it's very hot. It's big. But they need massive amounts of electricity. They need more electricity than we have right now in the whole country servicing everything. In other words, we have to at least double it up to be competitive and to be leading. And we're more than doubling it up. And what I'm doing is I'm letting all of these very rich companies, and they've got nothing but they got a lot of money, and they want to invest it in the United States, and they're building big plants, but they're building electric plants with it. I said, you build your building, and these are buildings that cost 30, 40, 50 billion dollars when you include everything that's inside, all the technology. I said, I'm going to let you build electric plants to fire your own electricity, and anything that you have left over, you sell it back into the grid. So all of these big factories that are being built are building their own electric plants fired by oil and gas. They're not fired by wind, by the way, because wind doesn't work, but we won't say that. It destroys everything. It looks terrible. It's a very expensive form of energy. And we're not doing wind. We're going back to fossil fuel. I hope not too many of you people are going to be upset, but we have to go back to what works. We can't be foolish. But we're building massive electric plants all over the country. The companies are building, and then they sell it back into the grid. But we're building numbers that nobody's ever seen. We're auto plants. We have many auto plants going up, whereas during the last 4 years, as you know, we had like none. People weren't investing here. So where they weren't investing and they were leaving. But I just finished by saying this. So I was with the King of Saudi Arabia. I was with all of the NATO leaders a couple of weeks ago, and they are putting up not 2%, but 5%. They said 5% of GDP. That's a lot of money. They'll have trillions of dollars put up. They were putting up 2, but they weren't paying it. Now they're putting up 5, and they're all paying it. And they all said the same thing. They said, 1 year ago, your country was dead. We never thought it was coming back. And now you have the hottest country anywhere in the world. These are the leaders of other countries, the prime ministers and the presidents, every one of them said essentially the same thing, said we had a dead country, and we were. We felt that way, and we were. And this place was emblematic of it with the crime, the horrible crime. And, you know, I watch these phony reports. Oh, we were on the way back. They weren't on the way back. It was worse than ever just a short while ago, but now it's going to be, I think now, right now, it's better than it has been in years. And in a couple of weeks, it's going to be even far better than that. And everybody's safe now. Everybody feels safe. And they're all coming in. And people are now coming in. They're making reservations to come in. They want to be in Washington, D.C. One of the things we're going to be redoing is your parks. I'm very good at grass because I have a lot of golf courses all over the place. I know more about grass than any human being, I think, anywhere in the world. And we're going to be regrassing all of your parks, all brand new sprinkler systems, the best that you can buy, just like Augusta. No, it'll look like Augusta. It'll look like, more importantly, Trump National Golf Club. That's even better. But we're going to have all brand new, beautiful grass. You know, like everything else, grass has a life. Do you know that? Grass has a life. You know, we have a life and grass has a life. And the grass here died about 40 years ago. So we're going to be rebuilding all of your parks, and it's going to happen fast. It's going to go up like a miracle. So you do the job on safety, and I'll get this place fixed up physically, and we're going to be so proud of it at the end of 6 months. But let's say at the end of a year, this place will be maxed out in terms of beauty. You'll have all new surfaces. You'll have all new medians. Everything's going to look beautiful. A lot of your signs are going to be taken down. They've been up for 40 years. They look like hell. They're barely standing up. They're falling off their holders, and we're going to have all new everything. And I want to just thank Doug for doing such an incredible job. You've been unbelievable. You're a popular guy. No, he's an amazing guy. He's an amazing guy. Everybody loves him. We love you. And his wife is so incredible, but thank you very much. I appreciate it. And Pam, thank you very much. What a job. People don't realize, they're going to see she'll go down as the greatest Attorney General we've had. I really mean it, too. And where's my Christy? You dear. Thank you very much. She's been incredible. And she can ride a horse like nobody. She gets on those horses. She rips those horses around. But I want to thank you very much. And Steve Miller, so fantastic. And Todd Blanche, who's been with me so long, and he's one of the best lawyers you'll ever find. And we're having a lot of victories. I had a victory today. You know, they stole $550 million from me with a fake case, and it was overturned. They said this was a fake case. It's a terrible thing, but it's a nice victory, you know. I mean, it's not bad. You know, we all have our limits, but this was a terrible thing that done. It was a witch hunt, and I've had more witch hunts than any human being, I think, in history. And here we are with the President of the United States, so it didn't work out too well for them, but maybe now it's turned a little bit. These are very dishonest people. We have to fight. We have to win, because we have to win. And you people are winners, and I just think it's such an honor to be with you. And we're going to make Washington, D.C. great again. We're making our country great again. The country is very close to being great. When they say it's the hottest country in the world, they mean it. And this Capitol is right now, after 4 days, 5 days, it's at a level that you haven't seen in a long time, and it's all because of you. So I want to thank you all very much. It's an honor to be with you, and we'll always be with you. We're going to be with you as long as I'm around, you're going to be treated as nobody more important. And thank you all very much for being here. Thank you. Thank you very much. Doug, would you like to say something? Please. Thank you, everybody.
President Trump, on behalf of everybody that's here in law enforcement, I think I absolutely want to extend gratitude to you, because under your leadership, you're bringing back respect for this profession. I know that wherever you go, and some of these folks know, wherever you go in the country, whenever I've been with you, backstage before you speak, who do you get a picture with? Local law enforcement, the federal folks that are there. You have always, in turn, your entire life supported law enforcement, and that makes a difference. These people know that. And the other thing, of course, for everybody here, President Trump's ended 6 wars. He's brought taxes down, regulations down. He's brought record foreign investment like he was talking about. He's done all of those things in 6 months. But what does he really care about? You hear him talk about the wars. He wants to end the killing. And here in D.C., he wants to end the killing. He wants to end it in every city in America, because if we're the greatest country in the world, you shouldn't be afraid to be able to go out for dinner. He cares about the people that live in this city and in every city, and that's why this is happening right now, and this is what leadership looks like, that in a matter of a week, this is a message to every city in the country, and it's a message to every capital in the world that America, the greatest country in the world, is going to have the most beautiful capital and the safest capital in the world because of all of you. So thank you, everybody that's here tonight. Thank you, President Trump, for making it all possible.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Pam?
Thank you all. President, I'm looking at all these faces. They're out here every single night. I'm getting to know everyone on a first-name basis. All of our great Metro PD, General Blanchard with the Guard, all of our federal agencies are out here, our amazing park police. They are working hand in hand to make D.C. safe. They're out here working midnights every night because they love our country, they love our city, and they love you. They're all telling me that. Are we going to get to meet look at them getting a thumbs up. They're all out here going, are we going to meet the president? I told you. So, and I think you brought some food for him, didn't you, President?
So we have great hamburgers cooked by the White House, and we have pizza that I said don't do it in the White House because we went to a place that makes the best pizza. So we'll concede, but we have a lot of it. So we're going to have some fun. We'll eat, and I'll eat with you, and we're going to have a little fun. We're going to celebrate, but then we're going to get back to work, and we're going to take care of these criminals. We're going to put them where they have to be. You're going to say don't play around with us. Don't play around with us. So let's go have something to eat. You're going to like the hamburgers. Would you rather have hamburgers from the White House or pizzas from a good place, huh? I think you want, they want the hamburgers. Have a good time, everybody. Thank you very much. Christy, thank you very much, darling. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
This is what America voted for. This right here is what America voted for. Take a look at the Commander-in-Chief, the 45th, now the 47th President of the United States.
Janine is here. She's unbelievable. We have Leo 2.0. Whoa. Judge, I didn't see you over there. It's lucky I spotted her. It's lucky I spotted her. I would have been in big trouble. And Leo, Leo 2.0, we love Leo. He's a great prosecutor, that's for sure. They both started off really as law enforcement and top lawyers and judges and law enforcement, and that's how they became famous. Then they went into show business, and everyone thought, gee, were they real? But they were the real deal, and you're both doing great. Thank you very much. Pam, do you want to say something? Janine, please.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you to all of you. Every night when you hit the street, you make a difference, not just for us, but for everyone in the district. They are grateful for what you do. They are thankful. And I am making sure that we back the blue to the hilt. Every arrest you make, we're going to the longest way to make sure that we charge in those cases. So God bless you and thank you for what you do. You're making a difference. And Mr. President, without you, no one would even have tried. So thank you.
30 seconds. We have the greatest president in our lifetime protecting this country, and you guys have done a great job. And I've had the privilege to work with the greatest Attorney General in Pam Bondi. This team really appreciate you. We want to thank you. You are doing the work that makes this country great, protecting America. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Be safe.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Let's go eat.
This is what America voted for, ladies and gentlemen. This is what America voted for. Take a look. This is what America voted for. Whether you are a Democrat or a Republican, doesn't matter. Everybody, every American wants safety. Everybody wants to be able to go outside, enjoy life with their families. Okay? So this isn't about parties right now. This is about safety in America. Everybody's happy. Look at them. Whether you are Caucasian or African American or Latino or whatever you are, everybody wants to be safe. This is not about color or race right now. Everybody wants to be safe. And there you go. You have a commander-in-chief, a president who actually is getting outside, getting the job done. Yeah, this is what I voted for. This is what I voted for. This is definitely what I voted for. Everybody wants to be safe. Okay? Now, like, I was watching a review of DC from 2 months ago and today. The difference is so glaring that you could wonder, how is this 2 months ago? It is wild how much more peaceful DC is right now. Look at everybody. Everybody's happy, joyful. This is what America voted for. Look, don't matter if you're Democrat or Republican. This is what everybody wants. Safety in America, especially the capital. All right, here we go.
Now we got a few other people. I want to thank, of course, the great EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin. Lee, thank you so much. And proud Atlanta native Kelly Loeffler, thank you for all you're doing at the Small Business Administration. All right, you guys are lucky to have a great Trump-endorsed Lieutenant Governor Burt. Burt, good to see you, man. How we doing? Burt greeted me on the tarmac today. He had been on the tarmac, I think, for a few minutes because he was sweating bullets. And that hot Atlanta sun, I felt bad for him. But Burt, thank you. You're going to make a great governor for the state of Georgia. And we're with you every step of the way. Now, I understand we got a little preview. This is my idea. A little preview of the Senate race here in the great state of Georgia. How'd they do, ladies and gentlemen? Do good? Well, let me thank Coach Derek Dooley. Derek, thank you for being here. Let me thank Representative Buddy Carter. Buddy, thank you. Good to see you, man. And, of course, the great Mike Collins. Mike, thank you for everything that you do. It's good to see you, man. Now, here's the thing. We're at a great American facility. I want to thank these great workers behind me. I feel bad for these guys because they got to stand up the whole time I'm talking. You guys get to take a seat, and boys, strap in, because we're going to be up here for about 3 hours. You give a politician a microphone, and it's always tough. Boys and girls. We've got a few ladies back there, too. But here's the thing. This facility, this manufacturing plant represents what makes America great. Because the products that you build, the jobs created here, the ingenuity and the technology and the development and all the things that actually make America run are built right here at this incredible facility. So thank you to Alta, thank you to the workers, and thanks to the people who make this facility run. Now, I heard something before I went on, because there's this big refrigerator right behind me, right? And somebody told me it was 13 tons, is that right? That's a big refrigerator. Now, am I also right that a lot of the products that you guys make go into Chick-fil-A? Is that right? Okay, I know that's a great Atlanta company, but as a customer, a frequent customer at Chick-fil-A, I've got a personal connection because you guys make a great American company run, and that's what I love about this country. When you guys make a great product, it enables more great products to be made. That creates more jobs for our people, that creates more American innovation, and it creates more prosperity for the American worker. And I'm here, of course, as a representative of the President of the United States that has done more for the prosperity of the American worker than any president in a generation. So can we give it up for President Donald J. Trump, because I know he's watching. And I know what the president ran on, and what the president cares about is building things right here in the United States of America. It's another reason why I'm proud to be at Alta today. Because for a generation in this country, we had American presidents and American political leaders, and let's be honest, folks, it wasn't just Democrats, it was Democrats and Republicans who would ship our jobs overseas, close our factory doors, and do not a damn thing for the American worker. So how nice is it in Washington, D.C. to have a government that is going to protect your jobs, that's going to fight for this facility and say, very simply, if you're building it here, if you're making it here, if you're producing it here, we are going to give you, and already have given you, a big fat tax cut. That's a good thing. But if you make it overseas, if you try to do something with a foreign worker as opposed to an American worker, if you try to ship our great American jobs and great American factories overseas, then you are going to pay a big fat tariff before you bring that crap back into the United States of America. And that's what President Trump's economic policies are all about, my friends. It's the carrot and the stick. We want to make it easier to build in America. We want to make it harder to build overseas. We want to make it easier to rely on our great American workers, because we got a lot of them. American businesses ought to employ American workers. And we want to make it harder to employ foreigners to take those jobs from the Americans who deserve them. And most importantly, if you're working hard every single day right here in the United States, or if you're building a business right here in the United States, you ought to have a tax code that rewards you instead of punishes you. And that's what happened when we passed the Working Families Tax Cut just a couple of months ago. And of course, Brian Jack was a critical part of that. So you should be proud of your congressman. Now, what does this law mean for you? What this law means for you is that your take-home pay is going to go up over $10,000 over the next few years. What that means is that if you're working an hour of overtime, the federal government is going to keep its money the hell out of your pocket. Because if you're working hard, the government ought to leave you alone. Ain't that the truth? To any single moms out there, any single dads, any people who work hard every single day. I had a single mom, and for a time my mom worked at a restaurant. She waited tables, like a lot of folks out there. And you know what we did in this new law? We said that if you're working hard and you're making your income via tips, we are not going to tax tips anymore, because we want to give everybody out there that's working hard for those tips a little bit of relief. And that's what the Working Families Tax Cut did. No matter where you are in this country, if you're working hard and play by the rules, you ought to have a government that stands up for you instead of fights against you. That's why we increased the child tax credit in the Working Families Tax Cut. That's why we eliminated taxes on overtime and on tips. And that's why we had the biggest tax cut for families that this country has ever seen, because we believe that you ought to keep more of your hard-earned money, and we believe that if you're busting your rear end every single day, the government ought to make it easier for you and not harder for you, and that's why we fought for that legislation. Now, I am just a vice president. I'm just a lowly politician, but I'm going to try my hand at prophecy today, ladies and gentlemen, because I see the future of the state of Georgia, and in about a year, you are not going to be able to turn on the television without Senator Jon Ossoff pretending that he supported the working families tax cut when in reality he voted against it. And I saw a TV clip of him today. You know why he said he voted against no taxes on overtimes? You know why he said he voted against no taxes on tips? You know why he said that he voted to raise your taxes by the biggest amount in a generation in this country? Because he's allegedly worried about people getting kicked off their health care. Well, you know what? The President of the United States made a promise, a sacred promise, that the only people who are going to lose access to health care are illegal aliens who shouldn't be in this country to begin with. Because I happen to believe that Medicaid belongs to American workers and American families. I happen to believe that when you are struggling in this country, we're generous people, and we want to help you. But we want to help the people who have the legal right to be in the United States of America. So it's not about kicking people off of health care. It's about kicking illegal aliens the hell out of this country so that we can preserve health care for the American families who need it. And that's what the Democrats never talk about. That's what they'll never tell you. They'll say, well, Republicans want to do this to health care. They want to do that. They want to do all these terrible things. When in reality, if you look at what the Democrats have done, what they've tried to do is to allow millions and millions of illegal aliens into this country, to give them benefits that ought go by right to American citizens, and then to attack Republicans when we dare to stand up for the American citizens who have the right to be here. So when you watch those TV commercials in a year, and Jon Ossoff, I tell you, he's going to pretend to be a reasonable moderate. He's actually going to run TV advertisements, I promise you, because I ran against a guy like this in the state of Ohio, where he says that he supported President Trump's agenda. But in reality, while Jon Ossoff pretends to be a moderate when he comes to Atlanta, he is a far-left liberal in Washington, D.C., and that's the only place that it actually counts if you're a United States senator. So why don't we ask Jon Ossoff, why did you vote to raise taxes? Why did you vote to keep illegal aliens on Medicaid? Why did you vote to bankrupt Medicare? Why did you vote to make sure that people who work overtime and earn their income from tips pay as much to the federal government as possible? And the simple answer is because Jon Ossoff, whatever he pretends to be in his television commercials, he doesn't give a damn about the 3rd District, and he doesn't give a damn about the people of Georgia, but we do, and we're going to fight for you every single day. Let me just leave you, my friends, with a final thought. I want to thank you all for being out here, and again, thank the folks behind me, the great workers of this facility. And I'll take a few questions. Should I take a few questions from the media? Okay, I'll do that. So we'll take a few questions from our great reporters, hopefully some local reporters back there, but I'm sure some national fake news as well. But, you know, I went to Union Station in Washington, D.C. yesterday. Anybody here ever been to Union Station? Okay. It's a beautiful, beautiful building, really a monument to American greatness. I was walking around, I was looking up at it, these beautiful high ceilings. It looks like something out of a fairy tale. And I remember that 2 years ago, when I took my kids to Washington, D.C.'s Union Station, I actually had a crazy person screaming at my 3-year-old kid. Because for some reason, and I never understood this, American leaders decided it was compassionate to allow people to fester on the streets, yelling at our young families instead of giving them the medical care that they need and getting them off the streets, which, by the way, makes it easier for us to all enjoy these great public spaces in our country. And I haven't been to Atlanta in a little while, at least now with the Secret Service detail. I haven't walked around Atlanta in a little while. But I bet that as great as Atlanta is, and as beautiful of an American city as it is, there are places in Atlanta where you wouldn't take your family today. Is that correct? Just like in Washington, D.C., the national capital of the greatest nation in the history of the world, there are no-go zones where you would not take a young family or you would not take young children. And that's true, I'm sure, all across the state of Georgia, all across our country, because our leaders decided that they would make our streets safe for criminals instead of safe for the people who pay our taxes and keep our communities going. And I think that of all the things that I'm most proud of the president, the thing that I'm most proud about is that he finally put the government to work for the people who actually make this country function and run in the first place. We're cutting taxes for American taxpayers. We're securing the border. We've got 99% reduction in illegal border crossings in this country because we got a president who empowered Border Patrol to keep us safe. And we got a president who's standing with law enforcement to make it easier to clean up our streets, to make them safe for our young families. If you're a person, I don't care what your political party is, but if you're a family and you want to take your kid to a nice meal in downtown Atlanta, it's about a 40-minute drive, take your kid to a nice meal in downtown Atlanta, you ought to be able to without being harassed by a criminal. We got to take America's streets back for the American people, and that's what the President of the United States is doing every single day. And as a person who grew up in a family where we often struggled with money, you know, it is never the rich people that lack public safety in this country. When we go to war against our cops, when we flood the border with illegal immigration, when we close down great American factories, it is the people the Bible calls the least of us that struggle the most and hurt the most. So I'm proud to be here as your vice president. I'm proud to be here as a representative of President Trump. Thank you. But I'm most proud that we have an administration that is making it easier, whether you're rich or poor, to walk down the street with a semblance of public safety. I'm most proud that we're fighting for the jobs of the people behind me and the jobs of every single working person in this country, and we're fighting to make sure that you pay low taxes instead of a bunch of garbage to the federal government. I'm proud that we serve an administration that cares more about American citizens and our public safety than giving Medicaid and Medicare to illegal aliens, which is what Jon Ossoff wants to do. In other words, I am proud that the kind of family that made me who I am finally has a representative and a fighter in Washington, D.C. I promise you, we'll keep on fighting for you every step of the way. God bless you, and thank you for having me. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you. I don't think I'm going to get the same chant from the fake news media, do you? But we'll let them ask some questions anyway. Let's take a few questions back there from the rafters. I would prefer to take at least a few local media questions first, and then we can get to the national folks. Semper Fi, sir. God bless you. I think we have a microphone back there. If we could pass around. Sir, go ahead.
Mr. Vice President, I'm Richard Elliott with WSB-TV here in Atlanta. You've heard the criticism from Democrats that making the Trump tax cuts permanent comes at a cost to Medicare, SNAP benefits, and other things like that. How would you answer some of those criticisms by the Democrats?
Yeah, well, I appreciate that question. Look, there are a couple of responses to that criticism. First of all, the only people that we say should not get free government health care benefits are illegal aliens and those who refuse to try to even look for a job. It's very common sense. We want, and look, We are going to bankrupt this country if we keep on giving the people's benefits, the people's Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security benefits to illegal aliens who have no legal right to be in this country and never paid into the system to begin with. That is never the design of those programs, is to give them to every person all over the world. They ought by right to belong to the American citizens who paid into those programs to begin with. And that's what we're fighting to make sure happens. And the second response I'd say to that is, look, we did a lot in this legislation. Brian worked on it. The other representatives here worked very hard on this to make sure that a lot of our rural hospitals are struggling because of some of the policies of the Biden administration. So what we did is we put a lot of resources and a lot of changes in regulations to make it possible for our rural hospitals to stay open despite what the Biden administration did to them for 4 years. So our policy is very simple. Whether you're in a big city or a small town, we're going to fight for your access to health care. Whether you're an American citizen who's been here for 70 years or an American citizen who's been here for 2 years, we're going to fight for your access to a government that serves you. But if you're an illegal alien, you do not deserve government-paid health care benefits. You need to get out of our country, and that's as simple as that. Next question.
Mr. Vice President, Greg Bluestein with the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Thanks for being here. I have a follow-up to Richard's great question on those health care funding cuts. There are Georgia Republican leaders who are legitimately concerned that more than 100,000 people could be knocked off the Medicaid rolls, not just people who are here undocumented or illegally, but people who are working class, who are struggling to get their health care. What message do you have for state Republican leaders on what they should do to reconcile those issues?
Well, the first thing I'd say is that state Republican leaders, and frankly, state Democratic leaders, if you're worried about American citizens losing access to health care, the Trump administration always has an open door policy. And we worked with a number of our colleagues, Democrats and Republicans, at the federal legislature, but also at the state level, to make it possible to ensure that American citizens have access to the medical benefits that they need. It's as simple as that. So you're always going to have an open door. Now, we understand that reforms are complicated. Sometimes this stuff takes time to work itself through the system. Many of the changes in the working families tax cuts to Medicare, or excuse me, to Medicaid, you're not going to see that stuff. It's not even, some of it doesn't even go to effect for 6 or 7 years, in part because we want to give enough time to work with people to make sure that American citizens do not lose access to those critical benefits. So if you look at the way we design the law, if you look at the way that those reforms are implemented, and if you look at all the other things that we're doing, we want to work with people to make sure that American citizens get what they're entitled to. What we do not want is people who have no legal right to be here, to benefit from the generosity of the American taxpayer, and to bankrupt those programs. So long as you're willing to work with us on those goals, we'll work with anybody, whether you got a D or an R next to your name, because we care about this country. We want to make sure it's secure and healthy. Next question. We had a couple hands back here, but okay, we got a school back there. We do. Okay, well, let's get them a microphone.
My name is Virgil Garrett. Thank you, Mr. Vice President.
Of course, thank you.
I'm here with the Central Educational Center, CCS-TV. The CEC is a college and career academy focused on training high school students to enter technical and trade industries. Can you tell us how the big, beautiful bill will impact us and our prospective jobs? And also, how is the administration focusing on schools like ours?
So tell me, is it, you say your name was Virgil? Virgil, tell me a little bit more about your school.
So, Central Educational Center, we have classes focusing on trade and other industries. We have audio, video, aviation, cosmetology, dentistry, and students have
Got
the
it.
option. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. He asked me, Virgil, you asked me to comment on the school. I figured I should learn a little bit about it. I should learn a little bit about it before I commented on it, but I appreciate the clarification there. I mean, our proposal and our principle in the Trump administration is quite simple. We want Americans to be able to pursue their American dream. Whether that means going to a trade school or going to a 4-year education, going to the military, we want to give you as many options as possible. And what happened for a long time in this country is that you had both parties, both sets of leaders saying, no, the only pathway that we're going to fund, the only pathway we're going to help you with is if you want to get a 4-year degree. If you want to get a 4-year degree, great. But if you want to be a plumber or an electrician or a pipe fitter, your government ought to fight for you too. And that's exactly what we want to make happen. And I do, you know, Virgil, part of that is policy. Part of that is making sure that things like Pell Grants and other federal benefits, they don't pick and choose. They don't discriminate against our great trade schools. But part of that is leadership. And I think it's important for those of us who are in positions of leadership to say that, you know, there are so many great careers that require you to use your hands and your head at the same time, where you can earn a great living, you can build something great for your fellow citizens and people in your community. We're not going to have enough housing. We're not going to have plumbing that works. We're not going to have lights that turn on unless we've got enough people going into our trade schools. We got to have more kids doing it, more young people doing it, because they're the ones building the American dream of homeownership. They're the ones building the future, and we're going to fight for you every step of the way. Thank you for your question, Virgil. And let's do a few more questions here, and then I'm going to have to hit the road. Sir.
Good afternoon, Vice President. Raul Bally, WABE Radio here in Atlanta. Wanted to ask you about something, your final topic on safety. Do you see the administration putting soldiers in the city of Atlanta?
Well, look, what we've done is we have focused on Washington, D.C. because it's a federal city under our jurisdiction, but we certainly hope that whether it's Atlanta or anywhere else, people are going to look around and say, we don't have to live like this. It turns out if you just go and arrest the bad guys, you can have cities and streets that are safe again. And we hope that people see what we're doing in Washington, D.C. and follow our example all across the country. I'm a big fan. Look, I grew up in a small town. I love our beautiful countryside and our rural areas, but I love our big cities too. And I want you to be able to go shopping or go and get a nice meal with your family without the fear that you're going to get mugged, or even worse, because you had the audacity to take your family out for a day in one of our great American cities. We don't have to live like this. All we need is politicians who actually care more about public safety for American citizens than they do for violent criminals. In Washington, D.C., in 10 days of what Donald Trump has done in Washington, D.C., did you know armed robberies are down 55% in our nation's capital? It's amazing. You know, murders in Washington, D.C. are down over 35%. Again, that's in a week and a half of just taking crime seriously. And there's something, you know, Democrats had this weird sickness in the head 5-6 years ago where they decided that all law enforcement was racist. You know who suffers the most, especially in our urban areas, when you don't allow the police to enforce the laws against bad guys? It is the good citizens, disproportionately black Atlantans, who suffer the most from high violent crime. Because you've got more, or at least a disproportionate number of black Georgians living in Atlanta compared to other places. So when you empower police to prosecute violent criminals, that's not racism, that's empowering everybody, black or white, to live safely in their communities, and that should be the God-given right of every American citizen to walk down the street in safety and comfort. God bless you, sir. Next question.
President, thank you for answering our questions. I'm Doug Reardon with Atlanta News First. I know you're here to talk about business and manufacturing. I wanted to ask you about the spending bill's impact on individuals. There was a nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office report that came out last week showing that the bottom 10%, the poorest Americans, would lose about $1,200 a year on their income, while the top 10%, they would add about $13,000 annually to their income. Can you justify for those poorest Americans those differences?
Well, first of all, the Congressional Budget Office, sometimes they put out reports that are absolutely atrocious, and I think this is a good example of a very atrocious report. The most important thing for people who are living at the bottom of the income ladder is that they not pay taxes on their income sources. So if you're working hard and you're working overtime, you're going to get a big fat tax cut. If you're working at a restaurant or some other business where you're earning your wages primarily through tips, you're going to get a big fat tax cut. And most importantly, the president's economic policies are going to prevent your job from being shipped off to Asia or to Mexico. That is the very best thing for people at the bottom of the income ladder. And that's why we have the economic policies that we do. If you go back 50, 60 years, what is the fastest period for blue-collar wages rising in the United States of America? It is the time that we are living in right now, thanks to the economic policies of Donald J. Trump. You know what the worst thing for people at the bottom of the income ladder is? It's when you flood the country with millions upon millions of illegal aliens and force our poor Americans to compete for jobs against low-wage foreigners who don't even have the legal right to be here. That is what destroys the wages and the livelihoods of people who are struggling in this country. We want to empower them to live the American dream. That's why we're protecting their jobs, lowering their taxes, and fighting to make their country safe again. And I'll do one more question.
Sir, I'm George Cheedy. I write for The Guardian. I live in a small town, less than 1,000 people. I'm also a military veteran. I am a DINFOS trained killer just like you.
Thank you for your service, George.
In 1996 in Atlanta, when the Olympics was coming through, Atlanta very famously rounded up people who were homeless on the street downtown, bought them bus tickets and sent them out of town and often out of state. There was a lot of negative sentiment about that later. It's one of the things that people remember. I am concerned that in the press to eliminate encampments in DC, something similar to that is happening. What is happening to the people who are homeless, often poor, often have a mental health problem or a drug problem? Where are they actually going when these encampments are being broken?
So first of all, George, I was 12 years old when the 1996 Summer Games happened in Atlanta, so I don't remember exactly the background there. I was worried about football and fishing and doing all the things that a 12-year-old in southwestern Ohio was worried about. But I think that the question betrays a certain misunderstanding of what we're trying to do and what is the nature of real compassion. I talked earlier about my son being harassed at Union Station a couple of years ago. Now, first, as a father, you have some vagrant screaming crazy stuff. I'm sure a lot of us have had this experience where you have some vagrant screaming crazy stuff at your 3-year-old. As a father, my first reaction is grab my son closer, make sure that he's safe. Okay, then you realize the person's not gonna maybe run and charge and attack us. We'll just keep our distance. But then you think, wait a second, why have we convinced ourselves that it's compassionate to allow a person who's obviously a schizophrenic or suffering from some other mental illness, why is it compassionate to let that person fester in the streets? You see them, a lot of them have clear mental health issues. A lot of them have clear physical health issues. They're not properly clothed. They're not properly cared for. Some of them are wasting away. The compassionate thing is to have people who are having mental health crises, to get them in treatment, not to let them sit on the streets and yell at our people while they're walking by. And so the president actually signed an executive order to make it easier for some of these people to get access to mental health treatment. And I don't know for the life of me what happened in this country where we decided that the compassionate thing was to let somebody fester on the streets instead of get the treatment that they need. It's very simple to me. And I don't know why we accept it as parents and as grandparents and as people who just want to walk down the street in comfort, why we accepted that it was reasonable to have crazy people yelling at our kids. You should not have to cross the street in downtown Atlanta to avoid a crazy person yelling at your family. Those are your streets, paid for with your tax dollars, and you ought to be able to use them like any other citizen of this country. So let me close. I know I said that was the last question, so let me just close with this thought. There are a number of things I could say about President Trump's leadership and a number of things I could say about what we're trying to accomplish in the Trump administration. Put very simply, we're trying to make America great for Americans again. When you hear that phrase, make America great, we want you as a taxpayer, as a worker, as a business owner, we want you to be able to enjoy the incredible benefits and bounty of the United States of America. This country was built by your grandparents, by your parents, by your forebears. You ought to have the right to live a good life in this country that wouldn't even exist were it not for the hard work of so many generations who came before us. They didn't put in that work. They didn't build this great country. They didn't carve the greatest civilization in the history of the world out of a wilderness so that their ancestors and their descendants could see it fall into disrepair. They did not build, look at Atlanta, it's a beautiful city. It's one of the most beautiful cities anywhere in the world. The people who built Atlanta did not build it so that you would not be able to walk down the streets of Atlanta safely at night. They built it so that you could enjoy it. They built this country so that we could make an even greater America out of it. And the policies of the Trump administration are meant for one simple reason: to empower you to live a great life in this country that all of us love. We've got a lot of work done in the last 7 months. We're going to do a hell of a lot more work in the next 3.5 years, and we're going to fight for you every single step of the way. God bless you, and thank you for having me here in Peachtree City.
Thank you very much, everybody. And I've been briefed on the Florida State University, Tallahassee active shooting. I guess it's an active shooter. Fully briefed as to where we are right now. It's a shame. It's a horrible thing. Horrible that things like this take place. And we'll have more to say about it later. In the meantime, it's an honor to have the Prime Minister of Italy with us. Prime Minister Meloni, who's doing a fantastic job. I would say that she has taken Europe by storm and highly respected. Everybody loves her and respects her, and I can't say that about many people. And she's become a friend, and we really have a great relationship between Italy and ourselves. And we talked about trade. We talked about many, many things during our luncheon, and she'll be saying a few words, but she's a very special person, and it's nice to have you with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Thank you for your warm welcome. Thank you for this occasion, which is aimed to strengthen our relation, our friendship that comes from very far. You know, today is April 17, and April 17 marks the anniversary of the agreement that allowed Cristoforo Colombo to make his trip. And I say to remember how ancient are our ties, but also to remind that we both share another fight, which is the fight against the woke and ADI ideology that would like to erase our history. And as I know that we share lots of things on tackling illegal migration, on fighting against synthetic drugs. You know, Italy has been one of the nations that made a plan against fentanyl, for example. But we have been talking about many bilateral topics and things that we can do together, about defense, about economic, about economy, about space, about energy. Italy will have to increase its LNG imports, and also nuclear that we are trying to develop. I think there can be ways to work together, and the Italian enterprises will invest, as they've been doing for many years, as you know, in the next years, I think around 10 billions. That shows how interconnected our economies are. And that's very important, Mr. President. It's not only about Italy, it's about the entire Europe. The exchange between us is a very big one. Investments, trade, it's a topic that we are discussing in these weeks. But at the end of the day, look, somebody calls me, I was saying it before, such a Western nationalism. I don't know if it is the right word, but I know that when I speak about West, mainly I don't speak about a geographical space. I speak about a civilization. And I want to make that civilization stronger. So I think even if we have some problems, okay, between the two shores of the Atlantic, it is the time that we try to sit down and find solutions. So I want to thank President Trump for having accepted an invitation to pay an official visit to Rome in the near future, and consider the possibility in that occasion to meet also with Europe. The goal for me is to make the West great again, okay? And I think we can do it together.
We can.
We will keep on work on that. I'm going to close. I want to say only, I'm proud of sitting here as Prime Minister of an Italy that today has a very good situation despite the difficulties, a stable country, reliable country, 1 million more jobs in the last 2 years and a half.
Great.
Inflation is going down, so you forgive me if I promote a bit my country, but you're a businessman and you understand me. So migration flows going down 60%. So we are trying to do our best, but I think we can do it even better together. Also on Ukraine, I will close. Together we've been defending the freedom of Ukraine. Together we can build a just and lasting peace. We support your efforts, Donald.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I think we're doing well in that effort, but we want to get it done, and we'll see if we can. We want to save. On average, think of it, every week 2,500 people are being killed, mostly soldiers, Russian, Ukrainian soldiers. And if we can save those lives, that would be a very good thing. And so we'll see what we can do. And I think we're getting close, but we'll let you know very soon. And you've been very helpful. I appreciate it. Thank you. Any questions?
Mr. President, how much longer does Vladimir Putin have to respond to your ceasefire proposal before you put secondary tariffs or sanctions on Russia?
We'll see what that will be. We're going to be hearing from them this week, very shortly actually, and we'll see. But we want it to stop. We want the death and the killing to stop.
Mr. President, on Jerome Powell, you said that the termination of Jerome Powell cannot come fast enough. He says he won't leave, even if you ask him to.
Oh, he'll leave. If I ask him to, he'll be out of there. But I don't think he's doing the job. He's too late, always too late, a little slow, and I'm not happy with him. I let him know it, and if I want him out, he'll be out of there real fast, believe me. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, please. Question.
Are you trying to remove him, Mr. President?
Yeah, question.
Mr. President, can you educate Judge Boasberg in a case against your administration? So the Constitution does not tolerate willful disobedience of judicial order. Do you agree with that statement?
Well, you're going to have to speak to the lawyers. We have great lawyers. I can tell you this, we're doing a fantastic job of getting criminals out of this country who Biden allowed into the country. Hundreds of thousands of criminals, murderers and drug dealers. And I was elected because of the fact, I would say maybe that was the number one factor, a lot of reasons, the economy, a lot of things. But one of the primary reasons I was elected is because I said, I'm going to get the criminals that he allowed to come into our country so stupidly through open borders. I'm going to get them out. And I got a lot of votes, record-setting numbers of votes, as you know. We won everything. The popular vote, all 7 swing states, we won everything. And that's what the public wanted. That's what I'm doing. But you'll have to speak to the lawyers because it's up to them.
Mr. President, what do you think of the proposal from France?
Say it.
What do you think of the proposal from France and UK of a peace mission in Ukraine with soldiers? And do you think that Italy should take part into it?
Well, I think Italy will have to make that determination, but peace missions are always good with me. I'm okay with peace missions. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, have you discussed what areas of cooperation have you discussed with the Prime Minister vis-a-vis Italy and the United States and Europe and the United States? And on China?
We discussed it very briefly. No, we're doing very well with negotiations, I think, with all countries. And Scott could tell you a little bit, but we are doing very well. We have a lot of countries that want to make a deal. Frankly, they want to make deals more than I do. Go ahead, Scott. Would you say something, please?
Yeah, we've got a process in place. We're working on the big 15 economies first. We had a fantastic meeting with Japan yesterday. I believe there's been calls with the EU already. And then we have South Korea coming in next week, and I believe India is also talking. That's moving very quickly.
Go ahead. Ukraine's President Zelensky has said he has evidence that China is supplying weaponry or ammunition to Russia. Do you have any evidence along those lines? And also, he said we could see a minerals deal signed this week. Is that?
Well, we have a minerals deal, which I guess is going to be signed on Thursday, Scott, next Thursday, soon. And I assume they're going to live up to the deal, so we'll see. But we have a deal on that. No, I have no comment on that. I have no idea. That's his statement, not mine.
Mr. President, there were reports that you waived off the Israeli attack on Iranian nuclear facilities. Can you comment on that? Is that accurate?
And they say the attack is what?
That you waived off an Israeli plan to attack Iranian nuclear facilities.
I wouldn't say waved off. I'm not in a rush to do it because I think that Iran has a chance to have a great country and to live happily without death. And I'd like to see that. That's my first option. If there's a second option, I think it would be very bad for Iran. And I think Iran is wanting to talk. I hope they're wanting to talk. It's going to be very good for them if they do. And I'd like to see Iran thrive in the future, do fantastically well. I know the Iranian people, they're incredible people. Always have been very smart, very energetic, very successful people. And I don't want to do anything that's going to hurt anybody. I really don't. But Iran can't have a nuclear weapon. It's, pretty simple. It's really simple. We're not looking to take their industry. We're not looking to take their land. All we're saying is you can't have a nuclear weapon. The deal that was made with Obama, that deal would have expired already. It was a terrible deal. It would have expired. And that gave them a clear path to a nuclear weapon. I wouldn't have accepted. That's why I terminated the deal. Number one, it was way too short. When countries are involved, you don't make short-term deals. These are countries with long lives. And I terminated that. And it was a great termination because it didn't allow us to do anything. Once it terminated, you know what the deal was. It was a terrible deal. Really, one of many terrible deals made by the U.S. But no, I'd like to see Iran thrive. And they can do that, I think, very easily, or they can do it the other way. And the other way is not going to be good for them. It's going to be really bad for them. Well, Jensen's an amazing guy. He's become a friend of mine, and I don't know, he's a person that's very proud of our country. He loves our country. I'm not worried about Jensen at all.
Mr. President, we're holding you in contempt. Will you take steps to return Kilmar Abrego Garcia to the United States and put him in front of a judge?
Well, I'm not involved in it. I'm going to respond by saying you'll have to speak to the lawyers, the DOJ. I've heard many things about him, and we'll have to find out what the truth is. But I will say this, we were inundated by millions of people, many millions of people during the Biden administration. They say 21 million. And a big percentage of those are criminals, serious criminals. I'm not saying just criminal because they came into the border illegally. I'm saying they're criminals at the highest level, murderers. Many of those people murdered more than one person, and they're on the loose. And I was elected to get rid of those criminals, to get them out of our country, or to put them away, but to get them out of our country. And I don't see how judges can take that authority away from a president. We've done an amazing job, Tom Homan, Kristi Noem. We have done an amazing job. Nobody can believe the job we've done. Far greater than what I said. I mean, I got elected on that, but we've done much better. We have, right now, 99% border. It's a 99%. Nobody thought that would even be, nobody's coming through our border, practically. 2 weeks ago, we had 9 people come through, all for medical reasons. We allowed them, we brought them through because one had a heart attack, one had something else, and, all for medical reasons. We have a great border. We had a great border 4 years ago, but we have a border now that's even tighter, and we did that in a matter of weeks. And no, we need We need to get murderers and drug dealers and people that were in jail for horrible, they released jails, Georgia, from all over the world. They released them, not just South America, all over the world, the Congo and Africa. Many, many people come from the Congo. I don't know what that is, but they came from the Congo. And all over the world they came in, opened their jails. Venezuela, practically all of their prisoners released into our country. We took them because we had an incompetent administration called the Biden administration. And to think what they've done to our country. And I was elected to straighten that out, and I'm doing that. But we have activist judges that don't want murderers to be sent out of our country. They don't want killers and drug dealers and drug lords and people from mental institutions. They want them to stay in our country, I guess. I don't know, maybe that's the liberal way, or as they call it nowadays, the progressive way. But I don't think it's the way that our country believes, and that's why I won in a landslide.
Mr. President, you did say that you were confident these deals will be done, but you also said that you're in no rush. Americans are seeing prices rise. They're seeing it on their bills. How long can they expect that pain to last?
So they've already seen it get much better, because if you were truthful, which you're not, I know you very well, you have gasoline that hit $1.98 yesterday in a couple of states. You have gasoline's way down. The price of oil has dropped substantially. The price of groceries are substantially down. The price of eggs. When I came in, they hit me with eggs. I just got there. I was here for 1 week, and they started screaming at me, eggs have gone through the roof. I said, I just got here. I was there for 7 days, and I hear that eggs have gone through the roof before I got there. And they were screaming at me, the press, the fake news, like you're fake. And the fake news is screaming at me about eggs. I said, I've only been here, this is my 7th day. And they were right. They went up 87%, and you couldn't get them. They said, you won't have eggs for Easter, which is coming up. Happy Easter, everybody. You won't have eggs for Easter. And we did an unbelievable job, and now eggs are all over the place, and the price went down 92%. And our Commissioner of Agriculture, Brooke, has done a fantastic job. They really have done a fantastic job. So prices haven't gone up. The only thing that's gone up, actually, is interest rates, because we have a Federal Reserve Chairman that is playing politics. Somebody that I've never been very fond of, actually. But he's playing politics. Interest rates should be down now. They should be coming down. In Europe, as you know, they reduced them, I guess 7 times. It looks like they're going to reduce them again and again and again. But our guy wants to play cute. But interest rates are pretty much even. Maybe they went up just a slight bit, but that's the only thing. But that's because of the Federal Reserve, because they're not very smart people.
Do you regret nominating him?
Go ahead. Yes, sir, please. Go ahead, please.
Do you regret nominating him, Jerome Powell?
Look, in the first 4 years, we had the greatest economy in the history of our country. Stock market went up 88 points. I think he's terrible, but I can't complain because we had the most successful administration economically in the history of our country. I think we're going to do even better this time, because you will see that the numbers that we're taking in are astronomical. We're taking in tremendous amounts of money with the tariffs. We were treated very unfairly on trade, and countries are having a hard time getting used to the fact that they can't do that to us anymore, because we have a real president. We have a president that understands what it's all about. We had presidents that, in some cases, were smart, but they didn't understand business, or they didn't like business, or, it wasn't like a priority. And then you had, like, the last administration, the only thing they were good at was cheating in elections. That's about all they could do. They couldn't do anything. They were useless. They were incompetent. Worst administration in the history of our country. Worse than Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter died a happy man. You know why? Because he wasn't the worst president. Joe Biden was. So I think you're going to see some fantastic numbers when this all happens. It's happening now. I mean, everybody wants to make a deal. And if they don't want to make a deal, we'll make the deal for them. Because that's what's going to happen. We'll just say, this is what it is. But we want to listen to everybody. And I I think I can say for Scott and the other people that are working on it that we're listening and we're going to be very fair to people. But we're the one that really sets the deal, and that's what we'll be doing. Okay. Go ahead, please.
Question to our Prime Minister.
Oh, you have a great Prime Minister. You're so lucky. Yes.
In italiano.
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
I'm not sure they do agree.
Presidente Meloni, volevo sapere cosa pensava del fatto che il Presidente Trump ha considerato responsabile Zelensky della guerra in Ucraina e poi se avete parlato delle spese militari e qual è il limite massimo a cui ha detto che può arrivare l'Italia, le percentuali delle spese militari.
Non abbiamo parlato dei limiti massimi a cui può arrivare l'Italia, abbiamo parlato del fatto che l'Italia sta mantenendo i suoi impegni perché arriverà al prossimo vertice della NATO con il 2% che era già previsto, che è stato sottoscritto dai governi precedenti, perché siamo una nazione seria, ma non abbiamo parlato poi di quanto vada aumentata questa percentuale, anche se siamo ovviamente consapevoli che il tema della difesa sia un tema particolarmente importante di questo tempo. Per quello che riguarda la guerra in Ucraina, lei sa come la penso che ci sia chiaramente ci sia stata un'invasione e che l'invasore da quel punto di vista fosse Putin e la Russia, ma non è questo che oggi quello che rivela è il fatto che insieme vogliamo lavorare, stiamo lavorando per cercare di arrivare in Ucraina a una pace che possa essere giusta e duratura. Penso che questi siano gli sforzi sui quali condividiamo il nostro lavoro, abbiamo condiviso anche oggi il nostro lavoro.
That sounded absolutely. That was so beautiful. What the hell? What did she say, please? No, I mean it sounded great. It was beautifully presented, but maybe I could hear what she said. Go ahead.
It was about asking.
Guys,
Hold it.
Have some respect, please.
Thank you. No, wait. I want to hear what she said. Go ahead.
Prime Minister Meloni was asked what she thinks about the fact that President Trump holds Zelensky responsible for the war in Ukraine. And Prime Minister Meloni answered, well, actually, we have no, and also if you talked about the military spending, and the raising of the military spending,
yeah.
And the first thing Prime Minister Meloni said is that no, actually, we didn't talk about the raise in military spending. Of course, Italy will keep its commitments with 2%, and then we will see, because we are absolutely aware of the fact that it is very important
well, I will do
defense
that.
Is very
wait,
important.
I will do that.
Important.
They've been asking if we decided another percentage about the defense spendings,
NATO,
and I said
NATO.
Yes, NATO, and I said that Italy is reaching the 2% as it was already decided. We didn't speak about a specific other percentage, but we are aware of the fact that defense is important for the future, and we see what also the work that we are trying to do at the European level.
And I don't hold Zelensky responsible, but I'm not exactly thrilled with the fact that that war started. That was a war that would have never started if I were president. You'd have millions of people living right now that are dead. You'd have cities that would be open and thriving, and they'd have their beautiful turrets. Those turrets are the most beautiful in the world, but they're not with us any longer. They're smashed to smithereens, laying on the ground in a million pieces, getting hit by rockets, bombs, and bullets. And so I'm not happy with him, and I'm not happy with anybody involved. I think it's a war. I know it's a war. It didn't happen for 4 years. It was never close to happening. It was never even a thought. And I spoke to President Putin about it a lot. It was the apple of his eye, but there's no way he would have ever gone in if I were president. Now I'm trying to get him to stop because, as you know, Russia's a lot bigger. It's a bigger military force. And if you're smart, you don't go involved and get involved in wars that you can blame the man that was sitting in this seat, Biden. He didn't know what the hell was going on. But I can guarantee you that, and everybody agrees to it, if I were president, that war would have never taken place. I'm not blaming him, But what I am saying is that I wouldn't say he's done the greatest job. Okay? I'm not a big fan. I really am. I'm not a big fan. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Presidente Meloni, avete discusso di Cina e della possibilità che l'Europa ponga dei dazi, diciamo, sulla Cina. Mr. President, are you sure about the definition of parasite of European? Would you say again that European parasite?
It's never said.
Would you say again that
The European.
Have you said that Europeans are parasites?
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
No, I haven't said. I don't know.
He didn't say.
I don't even know what you're talking about. Go ahead, please. Go ahead. No, wait. Next. Go.
Thank you. Prime Minister Meloni just said we want to make Europe great again, and we want to do it together with the United
Sure.
West, yeah.
Did you? I guess that's what you said, Mr. Prime Minister. How are you going to do that? And are you looking to do it to counter China, who is really trying to gather influence against the United States with the help of this joint?
I hope that Europe is going to be great again. Europe has gone through a lot of problems, and a lot of it's having to do with immigration. And I'm not a big fan of Europe and what they've done with immigration at all. And I think they got to get smart, because Europe is being very badly hurt by what they've done with immigration. Now, I'll say this, that the Prime Minister has taken a very tough stand on immigration. And I commented to her before. I said, I wish more people would be like you having to do with that subject, but they're not. Europe is very important to me. Europe is very important to the world. I want Europe to do very well. I think they have to get a lot smarter on immigration.
But we are beginning doing it. You've all seen how the policies of the European Union in the last, let's say, 2.5 years have been changing. Okay, at the beginning we were talking only about how we were redistributing illegal migrants coming to Italy. Now we are talking mainly about how to stop illegal migration, work with the countries of origin and transit, and to return people. The European Commission just did the new rules about repatriations and things like that. So things are changing, thanks also to the example that Italy brought in lowering the rates of illegal migration. So we are working now together. So I'm optimistic on that.
Good. I hope so. Go ahead, please. Go ahead.
I'd like to ask President Meloni if you have discussed the option of a starting deal with Italy on satellite communications, and to President Trump, if you want to see the Google company growing up.
The Google what?
The Google company.
What about
the
it?
Google business. If you want to see it growing up. Separate.
Go ahead, please.
Oh, well, we didn't discuss about Starlink. We've been discussing about defense space. We will work together also in the Mars missions. So there are big things to do together, but we didn't discuss it.
Prime Minister, that changed your mind potentially about tariffs and what you plan to do going forward?
No.
Is there anything the Prime Minister said to you that changed your perspective?
No, tariffs are making us rich. We were losing a lot of money under Biden, trillions of dollars, trillions on trade. And now that whole tide has turned. We're making a lot of money. We're taking in a lot of money. Don't forget, we're taking in 25% on cars, 25% on steel, 25% on aluminum, 10% baseline. We put penalties on China for sending us fentanyl. We put penalties on Mexico and Canada, 25% for allowing fentanyl and allowing the borders to be weak. Now we're taking in billions and billions of dollars while I sit here and talk to you. And we didn't take in anything before other than the tariffs that I put on previous to Biden, which were the tariffs I put on China, where we took in, up until this point, probably $700 billion. They were Trump tariffs. He tried to weaken them. He did everything he could. You know, he got paid money by China, right? The family got paid money, he did. And so I don't know, maybe that was the reason or maybe it wasn't, but he tried to weaken them, but he couldn't because there was so much money that his budgets, you know, they couldn't stand not doing it. But I took in the up till this point, my tariffs on China. Nobody ever took in 10 cents from China. No other president took in 10 cents. I took in more than $700 billion from China. So we're doing very well. I mean, our country's doing very well. They had a bad report today from one of the healthcare companies that had an impact on the stock market. But this isn't about that. This is really, we're building a base. We're building a country like no other. And again, I had the strongest economy in the history of our country by far, history of any country probably, but the history of our country in 4 years. And I think this has a chance to be much better.
Can you just clarify on the mineral deal? Will that be signed here at the White House with Ukraine on Thursday? Will President Zelensky be coming here for that?
I don't know exactly. I'm going to leave that to Scott. What do you think? Where would it be signed and when?
Yeah, we're still working on the details. We're shooting for around April 26th.
Is there any more details that you could tell us about what's in that deal and how it came together?
It's substantially what we'd agreed on previously. When the president was here, we had a memorandum of understanding. We went straight to the big deal, and I think it's an 80-page agreement, and that's what will be signed.
President Trump, on rate cuts, can you clarify on rate cuts? Do you intend to seek Powell's firing if he doesn't change his stance on rate cuts? Or is that on the table, or is it out?
Well, I think he should do the rate cuts because I think if Europe has done it, it puts us at a disadvantage to Europe. I mean, he plays right into their hands. So I think he should do the rate cuts. We don't have really inflation now. I just said the major things are going down. Oil is great. Oil is way ahead of schedule, and that's because of our policies. But oil is down into the $60, $65 range now per barrel. And I told you, in certain states we have less than $2 for gasoline. And food is down. Groceries, as we call it, are down. Other than interest rates, everything's down. Interest rates are pretty flat. They're not. It's not that they're up, but we should be better than flat. We should, if he would lower the interest rate, I think it would have a good impact on that too. But the costs are down. We have very little inflation. I would say we have essentially no inflation. Hard to have inflation when oil goes down, and oil goes down. When Biden came in, oil went through the roof. That's what caused our problem. That and his very dumb spending. But when the oil prices go down, and they have gone down a lot, we've gotten it down really good. We've opened it up and we've gotten them down. And that means that people driving cars are going to be paying $2 and $2.50 instead of $4.50. And, you know, even at the end, they tried just for the purpose of the election to get it down. But they had really lost that sucker. That was really, it was not good. But if they had won, oil right now would be at $7 or $8 because of their policy. And we're going to be at about $2. Could be even a little bit less than that. And you're starting to see it. So I don't know how you can have inflation when oil has come down quite a bit. And I would say the Fed really owes it to the American people to get interest rates down. That's the only thing he's good for. And he would have an effect on that if he lowered them. And I think at some point he will. He's going to have a lot of political pressure. You know, they are political also. And I think there's a lot of political pressure for him to lower interest rates. Okay? Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry.
Please.
Do you think that Italy can be your best ally in Europe? And also, do you ever notice when you walk if you step on hands?
Only if the prime minister remains the prime minister can it be our best. she's doing a great job. And yeah, certainly one of our great allies, not just in Europe. Anyway, she's a fantastic person and doing a great job, and our relationship is great. And we have a lot of Italians in this country, I tell you, and they like Trump, and they voted for Trump. Anyway, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Ursula, baby. All right, here we go. Trade advisor. That was like the throwback.
I'll be here as long as you need to. I want to deal with two separate
I gotta eat.
man. Hey. What's your You got to be the director. I want to deal with two very separate issues. One's the weaponization of government and lawfare. The other is I'll work through the EU deal today, which is just absolutely epic. And what I like to do is just talk about this lawfare issue, take a few questions, and then go to the other one. So if you can, try not, no, don't interrupt me. I'm here to serve. Okay. Let me get through what I want to say and take your questions. So let's proceed that way.
Dr. Navarro, on the lawfare.
See, now see, aren't you listening, sir?
Oh,
don't do that again, okay? Okay? Who are you from? Where are you from?
Gateway Park.
All right, well, just, I love those guys. They're my favorites, but just be cool. So, what I want to talk first about is about, there's an article that appears today in Breitbart News, which deals essentially with an FBI agent named Walter Giardina, who was recently fired by Kash Patel, the FBI director, and the media, led by the New York Times, is trying to make this guy a martyr. And this is the same guy that put me in handcuffs, put me in leg irons, and led a totally unnecessary arrest with armed FBI agents at Reagan Airport. And Perk bought my fiance, and he's a man who I will now show you really helps understand what has been a long-term, consistent, weaponized attack on Donald John Trump going back to 2016. So I want to walk you through the arc of that. We start with the Steele dossier. Christopher Steele writes this thing paid for by Hillary Clinton. It was always a propaganda piece, and it became the catalyst for the Russia hoax, Crossfire Hurricane. And the first thing that Giardina did was, and this is all alleged by whistleblowers, everything I'm telling you is from whistleblowers that were reported through, and thank you, Senator Chuck Grassley, for getting this information out. He's doing a wonderful job on this. Giardina was one of the FBI agents who blessed the Steele dossier, who basically vouched for its authenticity and therefore set Crossfire Hurricane on its way. That was a complete hoax that cost tremendous amounts of political capital, harmed the president, and was just wrong. Now, at the same time, there was a separate operation going on, and it was called, I'll call it the Egyptian hoax. It was codenamed Crimson River, and they later renamed it Red Masari. It was an allegation that the Egyptian government had given $10 million to the Trump campaign. It was total BS, just nothing there. Again, Giardina played a central role in propagating that and then using that to do these investigations, do the leaks, do the smear tactics on Donald Trump. Now, Crossfire Hurricane allowed Giardina then to move into the Mueller investigation. And he served there throughout the investigation. One of the things that the whistleblowers point out is that Giardina's laptop mysteriously got totally wiped clean. So all the data on there was now unavailable to you as journalists. The whistleblowers point out that there were more than one person on the Mueller report team that used a technique where they put their password in a number of times in their cell phones and it wiped all the data clean. So it seemed to be the culture of the Mueller report, and if in fact it's true that Giardina actually did that on purpose, that's a felony. That alone would put him in jail. Now, you think I'd be done, but no, I got a lot more to go with this guy. There was a thing called the Emoluments Clause. It's a clause in the Constitution that says that people like presidents and government officials can't take money from foreign governments or from state governments by getting favors, things like that, okay? Again, Giardina, according to whistleblowers, was at the very root of that, propelling that forward. it has been revealed as nothing more than a fishing expedition. It was like a license to hunt, phone records, and all sorts of other things. That guy was at the center of that. And then, in my view, some of the worst damage he did, not just to the president, but to a lot of people I consider my friends, is something called Operation Arctic Frost. And that was the one that followed J6, that investigated all the events surrounding the use of the Electoral Count Act of 1887, which is a perfectly legitimate tool to call for a recount of votes. Giardina used that, and it led to attacks on people like Jeff Clark, John Eastman, both of whom may lose their law license, spent millions of dollars on it. Jenna Ellis, Sidney Powell, Rudy Giuliani. Giardina was there as well. And in some sense, I buried the lead, because going back to Crossfire Hurricane, one of the big casualties there, and a great friend of mine and a patriot, was Mike Flynn. He was forced to resign because of that nonsense. And when we lost Mike Flynn early on in the administration, we wound up with John Bolton. How'd that work out? One of the most treacherous people that's ever been in that West Wing. So this is the guy, if you weave that through, it paints a picture of a sustained effort by people inside the FBI, inside the Justice Department, inside what we love to call the deep state, which is what it is, inside the rhino wing of the Republican Party, going after Donald Trump. So this guy, nobody should feel sorry for him. He's not a martyr. New York Times, you got to do a better job of doing your journalism. And he's the guy that put me in handcuffs, put me in leg irons. He's the guy that served me with my subpoena. He's the guy who testified at the grand jury. And there's allegations there that that testimony was not truthful. He's the guy that testified at my trial. And I hold this man responsible, and it's not about me. I hold him responsible for a lot of what has been done to really erode trust of the American people in our American justice system. That's the story of Walter Giardina. I urge every one of you guys to read the Breitbart article, fact check me, and I dare you to find anything I say in there that's not absolutely true. And if it's absolutely true, that man needs to go before Congress. He needs to be hauled up, and he needs to be held accountable. And it's not just him. It's Obama, it's Clinton, it's Comey, Page, Clapper, Brennan, Schiff, and all the rest of them. Okay, that's that story. I will take some questions now just on that, and then we'll go into the separate thing on EU. Yes, sir.
Dr. Farr, thank you. Lord Conrad from Gateway Plenty. You wrote your op-ed, if we don't hold these lawfare scoundrels accountable, they will do it again. What kind of punishment do you think is appropriate for Giardina, Clinton, Comey, the rest of them?
Well, remember, all of these things are allegations by whistleblowers inside the FBI or Justice Department, okay? I mean, that's damning in and of itself. But there's all sorts of things you could charge people like Giardina with. I mean, there is the conspiracy. Didn't they charge Donald Trump with conspiracy? I mean, that's their favorite go-to charge. I mean, think about that. He's involved in every single operation against the president. And every time they were either trying to stop him from getting elected in 2016, overthrow him when he was in office, or during the interregnum between 45 and 47, they were trying to stop him from viability in an election and putting him in prison. So he needs to be investigated, and there's a lot of people, I believe, look, I went to prison for defending the Constitution. And by the way, my case is still on appeal. Why is it on appeal? I served my prison time. Why am I still paying lawyers and spending time on that? Because there's important principle constitutionally at stake in my appeal. If I lose that appeal, everybody in this West Wing here, everybody who will ever serve in the White House will be exposed to a choice between getting a congressional subpoena and violating the Constitution or going to prison. So that's a Hobson's choice. All right, what else you got?
Peter,
Anybody on this?
speaking of lawfare, today
Yes, sir.
the New York Appeals Court has thrown out President Trump's $500 million New York civil fraud penalty. That was prosecuted by Letitia James last year.
Yeah.
The appeals court says it was, quote, excessive. What is your reaction?
Letitia James is another one that belongs in jail. Look, the Democrats, look, they really overplayed their hand on this because they thought they could take Donald Trump out. They didn't. And in the process, they totally destroyed American people's faith in our Justice Department. And they got him got President Trump a lot of votes because of that. I mean, the book I wrote about that, I went to prison so you won't have to, the whole theme of that thing is that I'm the wake-up call. If they can come for me, they can come for you. So people need to understand that these are bad people. Letitia James, Fani Willis in Georgia, Alvin Bragg in Manhattan. The question is, how coordinated were they? And that's a question that needs to be answered by an investigation. Eamon?
On the EU, real quick, if we're good.
We'll get to that. Let me just finish this because it's a really important story. I will give you what you need. Yeah.
On the EU, sir?
Anybody? One last lawfare? Okay, let's go. Yeah. Let's do the European. So let me just say a few words on the European Union deal because. In many ways, I can think of no deal more important than with the European Union. I mean, it is, after all, one of the largest entities in the world. It's so important, not just economically, but strategically. But for many, many years, it has been taking unfair advantage of the United States. Consistently higher tariffs, consistently higher non-tariff barriers. And even when we have gone to the World Trade Organization and won on things like agricultural cases, the EU has refused to cooperate. And so we've been in a situation where Germany sells us 7 cars for every one we sell them. We have a massive trade deficit with the EU. The trade deficit itself writ large is a great threat to our national security and economic security, and it's an emergency that we're dealing with. So this is like a really important mountain to climb, and we climbed that. And President Trump got up to the top of the mountain today. So let me, for those of you who haven't read the news yet, I mean, look, think about this. We get Europe reducing all their tariffs to zero. We continue our global tariff to fight the trade deficit at 15%. Wow. Secondly, we will impose 15% tariffs on autos. It's a drop from the 25, but remember, before President Trump took office, the tariff was 2.5% compared to 10 in Europe. So that's a great win. We maintain completely our tariffs on steel and aluminum without exemptions or exclusions. We're getting $750 billion worth of LNG purchases. We're getting $600 billion of investment here in the U.S. in our strategic sectors that we need to secure our supply chains and make them resilient. And we're getting Europe to buy more of our arms in cooperation with the uplifted NATO effort. I mean, in many ways, the Ukraine situation has been a total wake-up call for Europe. And so we're ushering a completely new and beautiful spirit and environment of cooperation with Europe. And nobody would have imagined the success of this. Anybody who criticizes Trump trade policy, including the courts right now, simply has to look at this magnificent achievement that President Trump has secured, not just for the American people, but for Europe and the security of the world. Okay, I'll stop there. So let's go to Eamon first, and we'll go here, and then we'll go here. Yes, sir.
So today was the joint statement. Do you have a timeline now for how long before we see the binding legal language? That negotiation apparently still on.
Yeah, I'll let you talk
is
to.
that weeks? Is that months?
That's a Jameson Greer thing, but I have coined that expression in Trump time.
Yeah.
We do things as fast as possible without screwing it up. So we're on that. I mean, it's a great deal for both of us. Why would we delay? Okay. Yes, ma'am. You were with.
Mediaset, Italian television.
Italian television.
Largest European broadcaster ever. So there is a lot of sectors are out of the support. I'm thinking steel. I'm thinking aluminum. I am thinking wine, alcohol, and the digital market. Can you expect something more than 50%, 15% for wine, for instance, and alcohol?
I can't speak to that. I can tell you that the experience from the first term with steel and aluminum tariffs is that every time we try to give an exemption or exclusion to one of our allies, they abused it totally. And we learned that it was a slippery slope. So there will be no exemptions, no exclusions for steel and aluminum tariffs. As you may have seen, just this week, we added over 400 new products to the steel and aluminum tariffs. We did that because these tariffs, it's a strategic game on the part of people who try to export to us. What they do is they figure out ways to do it. So what they were doing was shifting downstream into these other products. So they're not going to do that anymore. All right, yes, ma'am. I said I didn't have a comment on that.
Any takeaway from the Fed minutes yesterday on the ongoing dispute over trade, the president's tariffs?
The Fed is, the Federal Reserve is totally out of touch with reality. If you look at the global interest rate spread right now, we're at 4.25 in the interest rate, okay? Europe is more than 200 basis points lower than we are. Japan's 4 times lower. China's 3 times lower. Now, that dog won't hunt for the American people because it creates all sorts of problems here. Just the high interest rates alone are discouraging the mortgage and housing market and the purchase of new cars, and it's very costly because we have increased debt financing, because about 20 to 30% of our debt financing is just pure short-run debt. So that's no good, but there's also currency effects. When you have higher interest rates and they're lowering theirs, the dollar's higher, and that exacerbates the trade deficit we're trying to deal with. So if the Fed's looking at what's going on, we're seeing improvements in inflation. The tariffs are having zero impact on inflation like they did in the first term. And my fear with the Federal Reserve, it's just a partisan game going on. If you look at what you have there, you only have 2 Republicans nominees on there, soon to be a third with Stephen Mirren. But the other 5, it's like, and Jay Powell, he's a Republican, but he's so anti-Trump, it's unsettling. And I say that just so I fill that out a little bit. If you look at the arc of Powell's decisions, everything he's done since he got appointed has been against President Trump. When he was in with Biden and Yellen, he was doing things he shouldn't have done, lowering rates too early and causing inflation. So they got to get their act together. I hope they find some enlightenment in Jackson Hole, but I'm not betting my house on that. Okay, yeah, go here and then go here. Hang on. Go here, and then here. Yes.
Are you saying that if you can still win an exemption on
No, I'm not saying that at all.
How sustainable are those secondary tariffs against India, and how important are those to hold Russia accountable?
Well, let's talk about India. I would refer you to the piece I did in the Financial Times that appeared on Monday. And the Indian situation is very interesting. A lot of people don't know this, but prior to Russia's invasion of Ukraine in February of 22, India India bought virtually no Russian oil. Let me say it again. Prior to the invasion of Ukraine in February 2022, India bought virtually no Russian oil. I mean, it was like 1% of their needs. So the argument somehow now, as the percentage has gone up to like 30 and 35%, that somehow they need Russian oil to cool their homes or cook or drive their cars is nonsense. And what I do in the Financial Times article is I illustrate how Russian refiners have gotten in bed with Italian refiners in a game in which they get cheap Russian crude, follow me here, they get crude at a discount, and then they make refined products which they sell at premium prices into Europe, Africa, and Asia. It's strictly profiteering by the Indian refining industry, big oil. Now think about India when you think about the tariffs we're putting in place. 25% because they cheat us on trade, 25% because of the Russian oil. I ask you this, what is the net impact on the Americans because of our trade with India? Well, let's think about it. They have higher tariffs, there are Maharaja tariffs, higher non-tariff barriers. We run a massive trade deficit with them, so that hurts American workers, hurts American businesses. Then they use the money that they get from us when they sell us stuff to buy Russian oil, which then is processed by refiners, and they make a bunch of money there. But then the Russians use the money to build more arms and kill Ukrainians, and so American taxpayers have to provide more aid, military style, to the Ukrainians. So that's insane. And President Trump sees that chessboard beautifully, and you guys need to write about that. That's what's going on there. And in many ways, the road to peace runs through New Delhi. And so that's the answer to that. Okay, who is next?
So sticking with
You're
India,
with
EWTN, Owen Jensen, Global Catholic Network.
Okay.
Okay, so following up on that question,
Yeah.
India.
Yeah.
The doubling of tariffs to 50% is supposed to take place August 27th, just 6 days from now.
Yes.
Do you see that taking place?
I
Doubling
see
of
that
tariffs?
taking place. India doesn't appear to want to recognize its role in the bloodshed. It simply doesn't. It's cozying up to Xi Jinping. Is what it's doing. It's not act. And by the way, I wrote that article in the FT just to deal with the propaganda of the Indian government to make people want to feel sorry for them. Oh, they need the oil. They don't need the oil. It's a refining profiteering scheme. It's a laundromat for the Kremlin. That's the reality of that. So I love India. Look, Modi's a great leader, but please, India, like look at what your role here is in the global economy and good here. It's like what you're doing right now is not creating peace, it's perpetuating the war. I'm going to take two more and then I got stuff to do. Let's go here. Hang on, here and then
He said,
here,
I
and
got
then
stuff to do.
Please let me
better know.
move on. I've given you generous amounts of time. Yes, ma'am.
So have the trade talks between US and India been cancelled that was slated for later this month?
I have no visibility on that. You have to talk to the USTR about that.
And China still continues to be the #1 exporter of crude oil from Russia. Why have they been?
We have
given the 90-day
50%.
extension?
We have 50% tariffs on China already. So.
Right, but they have
Yes,
been
ma'am.
given a secondary
Yes, ma'am.
tariff.
Yes, ma'am.
You alluded to Chairman Powell giving a big speech tomorrow in Jackson Hole.
Yeah, who are you with? Just right now.
Betsy Kline with CNN.
CNN, okay.
What is the White House hoping to hear from that speech tomorrow?
CNN.
Hope is not a strategy, okay? We don't hope anything with Jay Powell. He's a lost cause. But I've said
Lost
repeatedly
cause,
that the best thing that can happen is that the other members of the Board of Governors get religion on this. I said that before the last meeting, and sure enough, two of them dissented for the first time since the 1990s. We'll get Steve Mirren in there. He'll be a strong voice. And look, we got to stop this partisan crap, okay? This is about America. This is about the American people. It's about workers. It's about business people. It's just, we got to do that. And whether it's the lawfare aspects of this, where we're partisan, just destroying our justice system to try to put people in jail or out of power, or whether it's this crap, we got to stop doing that. Okay, thank you for your patience.
That was Peter right there. Peter Navarro, for sure, President Trump's top tier, okay, trade advisor. So he's had his own share of attacks as well.
At any moment, President Trump is expected to go on patrol in D.C., riding alongside law enforcement and military personnel to witness firsthand the impact of his law and order crackdown, which so far it has delivered results. D.C. had a murder-free week as Attorney General Pam Bondi touted 77 more arrests last night in the federal takeover. Trump is following in the footsteps of his cabinet, who showed up at Union Station in D.C. yesterday. Vice President Vance, Pete Hegseth, and Stephen Miller visiting guardsmen, but they also got heckled by left-wing protesters.
The voices that you hear out there, those crazy communists, they have no roots, they have no connections to the city, they have no families they're raising in this city. They're the ones who've been advocating for the 1%, the criminals, the killers, the rapists, the drug dealers. So we're going to ignore these stupid white hippies that all need to go home and take a nap because they're all over 90 years old, and we're going to get back to the business of protecting the American people and the citizens of Washington, D.C.
The media also expressing some outrage at Vance and company.
For them to talk about that these policies or bringing the National Guard is to actually make it safer for Black communities is actually insulting.
But J.D. Vance took his campaign for the Republican presidential nomination to Union Station today to bring Shake Shack burgers to the National Guard troops.
They did not go to Union Station yesterday for fun. They did not go there to talk to the National Guard. They knew there were protesters there. They went there to be on TV and to get these moments and get everyone talking about it.
Greg, it occurs to me that the Democrats are going back in time, not just to 2020 when they wanted to defund the police, but farther back in time, like the 60s or 70s when they were against military.
Yeah, they can't win because their reflex is instinctive support for the bad guy because they've been brainwashed by their hatred for law enforcement, their hatred for Trump.
It is more African American people in Washington, D.C. who have lost their lives. All right. Unsolved murder cases. And Judge Jeanine Pirro is trying to do her job alongside every other person, Pam Bondi and the rest of this group, all right, talented group. And I don't understand why Democrats are crying. You were protesting years ago, all right, in 2020, kneeling down, taking the knee and saying, Black Lives Matter. This is your chance to do something that actually matter. Protect the African American community that you have been screaming that you are for. So why wouldn't you be in support of this? When it is more African American getting affected by what's going on in DC. And somebody in the chat said, now that the USAID funding is gone, there isn't any more protest going on where they have to destroy things. So are we saying that they were paid protesters? I mean, you didn't. I'm just reading what y'all are talking about. Are you saying that the money for peaceful protesting is gone? So that's why nobody's protesting now.
So they end up defending the worst of the worst. You know, carjackers are just misguided teens. Spousal abusers are the Maryland dad. An alleged pedophile. He almost made it to be DC dad, but then he got caught. If terrorists flew planes into the building, they would blame it on Trump's love for tall buildings. They'd find a way. I don't think that the media has gotten to the realization that they can't do what they used to do. You can't just grab disturbing footage of an arrest and portray the arrestee as a victim, because in a few hours, we always find out the guy is bad news. I love the ride along with Trump. He should try to make an arrest, maybe tase a molester. I would like that. And what Stephen Miller said, it's ironic. Those are the guys that are defending the black citizens of D.C. It's not white liberals. Those are the guys. You can paint them in their dark light as some kind of evil fascist, but they're the people that are actually making the city safer. And he's right about those protesters. We get them out here. Not one of them is under the age of 77. And if you go up, it's sad. And if you go up to one of the women, because they'll be yelling, and you go, "Excuse me, madam, where is your husband?" Their heads will explode. One last thing, the Dems willfully assume that systems cannot be corrupted, no matter what it is, whether it's asylum or transgenders in prison, illegals, criminal justice reform. They just think everybody's going to play by the rules. One guy actually claimed that ICE abducted his wife. And everybody freaked out until you saw video of him dragging something that looked like a body from his house. But Democrats can't assume that, they know how to game the system, because you will believe any lie that comes your way. That guy ended up fleeing the country because he was able to lie about what happened to his wife, which he obviously killed.
Control Room, could you please play the other soundbite from Vice President Vance talking about taking back cities?
If you've got the political will to enforce the law, you can make even cities like D.C. safe again, and that's what we're demonstrating. I hope the American people just recognize that you don't have to live with lawlessness. You don't have to live with third world murder rates. If you just take control of these cities, you can make them safe places to live in.
Jesse, this reminded me of something that used to drive me a little bit crazy during the Biden administration, which is when they weren't doing anything for a long time, and you think, well, didn't you go there to solve problems? Isn't that what you want to do? And they're solving problems, maybe on warp speed, might make some people uncomfortable. But I do imagine that there are people in other cities like Philly that you're familiar with saying, could we get some help around here?
Yeah, they should send the Guard everywhere. Biden could never walk the beat because he couldn't walk. And Kamala never did it because she was afraid of her prosecutor's shadow. I love that Trump's going out there like a general to inspect the troops. Sometimes I go walking through my pod to see my team booking and cutting tape, and I shake their hands and I introduce myself, and they're inspired. I'm inspired. I'm with Greg. This is the best episode of Cops we're ever going to see. I hope he does a field sobriety test on some sloppy drunk kid from Georgetown. I hope they arrest and they pull drugs out of their pocket and Trump's like, that's a lot of crack. I hope he goes out with the Vice Squad and finds Adam Schiff trying to score some dope and some women at some seedy hotel on the wrong side of the tracks.
Women?
Didn't say that. Not that there's anything wrong with that. And the media's all worried about them getting heckled. Of course, it's D.C. Any other politician would have astroturfed the station and had a bunch of guys in MAGA hats saying 4 more years. These guys didn't care. They rolled up, they rolled out, and that's fine. They keep saying, the left, even though she's to my right, that crime is down. Okay. Homicides hit a 30-year high in 2023 in D.C. So they're down a little bit this last year in an election year. That's suspicious because they just started juicing the numbers. We just found out they had to suspend a guy for going into the computers at his precinct and downgrading felonies to misdemeanors. Jessica, did you see my show last night?
Yeah, I was glued to the TV.
Good. So you saw the guy who runs the police union in D.C. say that when they get onto a scene and there's a kid with bullet holes all in his abdomen and one of the witnesses won't cooperate because it's gang related, a captain will come onto the scene and say, you know what, we're not going to call it a shooting. We're just calling it taking an injured guy to the hospital. Or if there's a stick-up, armed robbery, guy's a gun, takes your cash and your phone, they'll come along and say, you know what, not armed robbery, we'll just call it a theft. It's a misdemeanor. I wouldn't be surprised if the word went out in an election year last year in D.C. from maybe somebody in the White House, they have to make the crime numbers go down. And I bet it's bigger than just Washington, D.C. I bet the word went out, and that's why you had all these, oh, crime's down. Trust me, Jessica, you guys, when we start looking under the hood, you're going to see a bunch of fake numbers.
one thing that amazes me about the contours of this debate as it unfolds is that the right is making it about crime and public safety. I'm not sure what the left is trying to make it about, but Jessica, I'll give you a shot.
I think that the left is trying to make it about states' rights and being able to be in control of your own cities. J.D. Vance makes that argument to Laura Ingraham, like, if you just let us in to take control, but it's states' rights when it suits the right, and then they don't care about it at all when it doesn't suit them. And we should be able to take care of our own cities. That doesn't mean that everything has been run perfectly, of course, but in terms of these doctored numbers, for instance, and the trend lines, well, they were good enough to do President Trump and Kash Patel. I mean, Kash Patel stood up in that press conference.
They didn't know they were doctored. DC isn't a state.
Shouldn't they know? Okay. Sorry. Well, but J.D. Vance is talking about the whole country, that if they just let them in, and they went into Los Angeles as well. Anyway, I think Donald Trump going out on patrol will be a huge win for him. It'll be like McDonald's, it'll be like the garbage man, and we'll be talking about it for a long time. It's made for social media. It's perfect in that sense. And, I defended an alleged child rapist yesterday by accident. So I don't really have many legs to stand on, but I am going to, which I apologize for. And I would like that to be duly noted. But, you say like it's all old white hippies that are protesting this, but there's mass disapproval of what they're doing within DC. And it's not just from old white people. It's from Black people. It's from Latino people. And when you take
whenever they're interviewed, they're like, thank God I can actually use the subway.
They took $1 billion out of the DC budget, and they said they were going to put it back, and they haven't. And that money would have gone to supporting school programs. It would have been going to pay cops, for instance. Donald Trump should work with Muriel Bowser and the police chief to make DC safer instead of this authoritarian takeover.
I lived there for many years. It doesn't matter how much money you throw at it, Kennedy. It doesn't get better. It hadn't gotten better.
Well, I think you can look at public safety the same way you look at schools. And no matter how much money, how many millions of dollars you put into a student throughout their life in that system, they don't come out literate on the other end. Muriel Bowser had an opportunity to work with the president. And at first she said she was going to, and then she did an about face. I don't disagree with you. I actually don't like the National Guard being the ones who are in charge of law enforcement. I think if you are looking at D.C. under the federal umbrella as part of home rule, then I think it should be federal law enforcement. And, that may be splitting hairs, but I've always had an issue with the militarization of law enforcement. And I think we have enough federal law enforcement that they could be doing a great job right now. And, you've got Homeland Security agents, you've got U.S. Marshals, you've got FBI agents, and I think you could make a coalition and do the same thing. And I think what the vice president is saying is, if this has been so effective in a week, that every crime-plagued city in America can do the same thing without federal law enforcement, without militarization, and they should be doing that. But they have abdicated their responsibility to the citizens of these cities, especially in the poorest districts. So you get to a point where, when you only have just shy of 300 homicides in a year, we want to throw a parade. No, every single one of those lives meant something, but not when you're trying to fudge the numbers with fuzzy math in order to show a better case for yourself. Because the bad case is what people feel when they walk around. People feel unsafe in D.C. You can say whatever you want, but if you feel bad, you're not going to want to live there, and you're not going to want to visit.
All right. At any moment, President Trump is set to go on patrol with law enforcement, so we will keep an eye on that.
That would be so legendary. The commander-in-chief patrolling D.C. and going back and forth. Of course, everybody's going to be outside trying to get a picture of the 45th, now the 47th. However, I know by the time we get up tomorrow, well, early today, it's going to be going bonkers on social media. Anyway, here is Judge Jeanine. This happened a couple of hours ago.
Today, we unsealed an indictment against two individuals, Jimmy Teresier and a co-conspirator, Basile Richardson. It is a one-count indictment that was unsealed, and the one count has to do with conspiracy to violate the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, also known as IEEPA. Jimmy Cherizier is also known as Barbecue. Do we have his picture here? Yeah. Okay. He is a notorious gang leader from Haiti who has orchestrated and committed various acts of violence against Haitians in Haiti. He was sanctioned in 2020 by the United States government under the Global Magnitsky Human Rights Accountability Act. And that is an act that has to do with the president having the authority to sanction globally anyone who was involved in human rights abuses. Now, Cherizier is also known as Barbecue, and his indictment is the first indictment of an individual in the history of the Department of Justice who has been sanctioned under the International Global Magnitsky Human Rights Accountability Act. Now, in terms of background, Barbecue was a police officer in Haiti, but he led many campaigns of violence against Haitians in Haiti, including the notorious La Saline attack in 2018. Notorious because he both planned and participated in the killing of approximately 71 Haitians. It is a turf war that has shocked the human rights activists in the world. His co-defendant, Basile Richardson, grew up in Haiti with Cherizier. He is a naturalized U.S. citizen who is living in North Carolina. He was also indicted under that same one count, and he is indicted for sending money to Cherizier, sending money from the Haitian diaspora in the United States to Cherizier. And knowing that Cherizier was sanctioned under that 2020 Magnitsky Act. Now, apparently he was a trucker who, although he was from North Carolina, was just picked up in Texas. Now, one of the things that is extremely important that you'll be hearing about from my law enforcement partners here is that the State Department has designated a $5 million reward for information leading to the arrest and or conviction of Cherizier. Now, I want to let the public know that anyone who is giving money to Cherizier, also known as Barbecue because of his violent acts in his home country, cannot say, I didn't know that he was sanctioned by the U.S. government. They will be prosecuted, and we will fine them because they are supporting an individual who is committing human rights abuses, and we will not look the other way. Now, this office is not unfamiliar with crimes of violence in Haiti. Several months ago, we got a conviction against an individual by the name of Jolie German, who was involved in the kidnapping of 16 American Christian missionaries in Haiti. Haiti is a hot spot right now, and I don't use that as a pun on words, but there is incredible violence going on there, which is why the State Department has gotten involved and why we have made the decision to make it very clear under the Magnitsky Act that we're coming after you if you give money to Cherizier. Now, I'd like now to call upon my partners, Acting Assistant Director of the FBI, Darren Cox.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Darren Cox, and the Acting Assistant Director of the FBI's Criminal Investigative Division. I want to thank our partners here with us today and our international partners for their hard work and partnership in combating transnational organized crime, which threatens the safety and security of communities both in the United States and abroad. Under Director Patel's leadership, the FBI is focused more than ever on crushing violent crime, cartels, and gang activity every single day. Since January, the FBI, with the help of our law enforcement partners and community members, have arrested 3 top 10 fugitives, We've arrested over 19,000 criminals, and we've seized thousands of tons of narcotics, which have saved millions of lives across the United States. The American public and criminals should know our agents and our partners are using every tool available to keep put criminals behind bars and keep America safe, and we will not stop. We stand shoulder to shoulder with the men and women of law enforcement, backing good cops without hesitation. They're taking the fight directly to the criminals, and they're restoring order. These efforts are a deliberate and coordinated plan to protect our communities and confront escalating threats from foreign terrorist organizations like Viva Unsoon and its associates. Tackling these networks means addressing every link in the chain, every cell, especially in the United States. As you've heard in today's announcement, that includes a $5 million reward for key members of Viva Unsoon and Jimmy Shazier, also known as Barbecue. We know someone has information that can help end this violence, and we want them to come forward and know that they are safe in doing so. Today, I want to highlight the amazing work the FBI and our law enforcement partners do every day to disrupt and dismantle violent criminal networks just like that of Barbecue and his cronies. Our FBI Miami office has worked closely with our international partners to track down Shazier and his Viva Unsoon partners and associates in the United States. On July 23rd, one of Shazier's most trusted associates and a named co-conspirator was taken into custody. Brazil Richardson was investigated by Miami, and he was arrested by our FBI Houston office without incident. Violent actors like Shazier and the rest of his criminal associates must understand there is no safe haven for them and the people like them that traffic violence in our communities. The FBI and our partners will continue to leverage all of the resources available and the expertise that we have to bring these people to justice. We urge anybody with information related to Shazier or any of his criminal network to contact the FBI through our tips line or our local field office. You can also call 1-800-FBI, and you can go online to fbi.gov/tips. Together, we will stop this violence. Thank you.
All right, and now Assistant Director of HSI, Ivan Arvello.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Ivan Arvello, Assistant Director for Homeland Security Investigations. The unsealing of this indictment marks the culmination of a nearly 3-year investigation into Jimmy Shazier's illicit activities and involved identifying Shazier's firearm procurement and trafficking networks, fundraising operations, and the movement and misuse of U.S. dollars in violation of U.S. sanctions. These actions fuel gang and terrorist operations that have oppressed and devastated the Haitian people. Shazier's shift from Haitian law enforcement to violent gang leader was marked by his alleged involvement in the 2018 La Saline massacre. This horrific event resulted in 71 murders and the destruction of 400 homes as civilians residents of La Saline neighborhood in Port-au-Prince were caught in the middle of a gang battlefield with chaos and destruction. Over the years, international organizations have linked Shazier to several additional instances of human rights abuses. Today marks a significant step in bringing his reign of terror to an end. He's a principal investigative component of DHS, responsible for investigating, disrupting, and dismantling transnational criminal organizations and terrorist groups who are seeking to exploit the customs and immigration laws of the United States. HSI worked with our federal partners to identify Shazier's various methods and networks, using U.S. assets and financial institutions to fund this gang, procure weapons of war, and extend its power. This type of investigation falls under HSI's counterproliferation and export enforcement mission to detect, disrupt, and dismantle illicit procurement networks operating on behalf of foreign adversaries, terrorist groups, and transnational criminal organizations. These criminal groups utilize complex strategies to acquire American weapon systems, sensitive technology, financial assets, and other resources to commit crimes across the globe, endangering Americans both domestically and abroad. This case has been a great example of federal law enforcement agencies working together to leverage each other's strengths and unique authorities in furtherance of a common goal, promoting national security and pursuing a barbaric warlord who used our nation's resources to commit acts of violence and terror. I'd like to extend my most heartfelt thanks to our federal law enforcement partners at the FBI, the DEA, the ATF, the Department of State, the U.S. Attorney's Office for Washington, D.C., and the Department of Justice National Security Division for the invaluable partnership and relentless efforts in making this indictment happen. Thank you, and good afternoon.
And finally, Chris Landberg, State Department Senior Bureau Official.
Good afternoon. Thank you, U.S. Attorney Pirro, for hosting us. Thanks to our law enforcement partners. Again, I'm Chris Landberg. I'm the Senior Bureau Official of the Bureau of International Narcotics and Law Enforcement Affairs at the State Department. We're known as INL. Today, the Department of State, along with our federal law enforcement partners, is taking action to protect our nation, to protect the American people, and protect the hemisphere from foreign terrorist organizations, or FTOs. The Department of State is announcing a reward offer of up to $5 million for information leading to the arrest and or conviction of Haitian gang leader Jimmy Cherizier, also known as my colleagues have said, by the name Barbecue. And there's a poster right here related to this reward offer. We're offering this reward for Cherizier under the Transnational Organized Crime Rewards Program because he is the leader of Vive Ensemble, which was designated by Secretary of State Rubio as an FTO and specially designated global terrorist organization in May of this year. As Secretary Rubio declared in his designation announcement, the age of impunity for those supporting violence in Haiti is over. We seek the public's help in bringing Cherizier to justice for not only the people of Haiti, but also to prevent the spread of Vive Ensemble's unchecked violence throughout the hemisphere, including affecting the United States. His reign of terror and mass violence against Haiti must end. The instability resulting from his actions has the potential to drive illegal immigration to our borders and increase transnational crime. The State Department will continue to apply its tools, including rewards programs, to combat the scourge of transnational organized crime and associated violence, and especially to stop the worst of the worst criminal ringleaders threatening the people of our hemisphere. So I'm going to repeat the information mentioned by my colleagues. If you have information, please contact the FBI at 1-800-CALL-FBI or HSI at 1-866-DHS-2-ICE. Help us find and convict this menace to the hemisphere, Jimmy Cherizier. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Questions?
Yes. Given the violent crime in D.C. that is being cracked down on with this.
Okay, I'm happy to talk about violent crime in D.C., and I'm going to. I have some posters to show you. But anything on Cherizier?
Are there any plans, Dr. Janine, to send American forces to Haiti to retrieve this man?
Yeah.
So the U.S. government, in a collaborative fashion, is supporting both the Haitian National Police and the Multinational Security Support Mission to help stabilize Haiti and create the conditions conducive for the holding democratic elections in the country. That is what we are doing. We are doing this mainly through foreign assistance and through technical assistance from our law enforcement partners. That is the strategy of the U.S. government right now.
So how do you hope to get them in U.S. custody?
So the point of the rewards offer is to get information about these individuals, and then we are working very closely with Haitian National Police. So that is one of the mechanisms. If we can get information, the individuals can get up to $5 million. Our U.S. law enforcement colleagues will work with Haitian National Police and will arrest this individual and incarcerate him.
I had a question about the co-defendant. You said he was picked up in Texas, right? I noticed in the indictment he's a naturalized citizen, and there's been an effort by this administration to, in some cases, denaturalize people who are
do once he goes through the judicial process?
Well, I think it's a little too early now to really comment on that. I think right now our goal is to get a conviction here, and then we'll make a decision as to what's appropriate. There's a lot of steps before you even get to that. Anything else on Cherizier?
Do you plan to indict other Haitian gang leaders? Is this just the beginning? And do you have any sense of where he might be?
If we knew where he was, I wouldn't tell you. I'd go over there myself. No. Right. That was a joke. We certainly have some information, but, you know, we need whatever information we can get from the public. We don't have him in our custody. That's all I can say right now. Do you want to add anything to that, guys? Okay. All right. Greg, anything? All right. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Wait, don't take the posters just yet. Can we get some pictures? Thank you.
Are you guys at this point? No, hold on a second. Give him that one if you want
Man.
to look at that. Put that over there.
There go that man on national television.
Put this up.
Woohoo.
Thank you very much.
$5 million. Is that $5 million? Whoa.
Are you done?
Whoa. Whoa. $5 million, ladies and gentlemen. You might gotta get out there and search.
There's been a great
$5 million, baby.
If you could hold.
There's been a great deal of discussion about crime in the district. And the other day, I wanted to get a sense of what is actually happening in the District of Columbia. I asked for the number of teens who have been shot and killed by gunfire. Teens, everyone under the age of 20. As you can see, in 2024, we have, I believe I said it was, how many? Yeah. As you can see, in 2024, we have 29 individuals who were shot and killed in the district, all teens, some as young as 3 years of age, okay, because of gunfire. Some of these cases are solved, some of them are not solved. But what this makes clear to me is that there is a whole community that is suffering because of the violent crime in this district. And anyone who wants to tell me the crime is down and that we don't need an emergency focus on crimes of violence, all they need to do is take a look at this and talk to the loved ones and the family members of these individuals, all shot and killed long before their time. Now, over here are the individuals who were shot and killed under the age of 20, all teenagers in 2025. And the number here is 16. Again, all members of the minority community here. I don't know how many of these cases have been solved, but what I can tell you is, again, it's guns on the streets. It's individuals who are not concerned about accountability, who don't have any reason to fear law enforcement. I am here today to tell you that on behalf of all of these victims, all of these families, that they're going to be accountable, that we are going to make a difference, and that we are going to make sure that law enforcement is focused on these innocent, now silent victims of crime in the district.
Do you have a per capita breakdown? I mean, how does DC, you're talking about the number of teenage gun deaths here, how does that compare for 100,000?
Anywhere else?
I mean, where do we rank?
All I know is we rank in deaths. 2 years ago, we were one of the fourth highest. We were the fourth highest in the United States. I don't need any more statistics. All I need are people to recognize that these were vibrant human beings cut down because of illegal guns. I guarantee you that every one of these shootings was with an illegal gun. All right. And I guarantee you that every one of these individuals was shot and killed by someone who felt that they were never going to be caught. And I want to send a message that we are going to catch you, that we are going to change the laws, that if you're 14, 15, 16, 17, we're going to bring you into the justice system. No more of this D.C., council, if they're under 16 or if they're under 19 or if they're under 25, we'll give them probation. No more. I'm done with that.
You said it's guns on the...
that you face, and you're just talking about it right there, but what can you conceivably do as the D.C. U.S. Attorney to address those laws, address the D.C. crime lab, which is not accredited, and also at the same time address some of the prosecutorial issues you talked about?
Okay. Those are great questions. Number one, the D.C. Crime Lab is now accredited and validated very recently. So Dr. Diaz has communicated that to us, and we are working with the D.C. Crime Lab. Our concern is making sure that we have enough people who are able to analyze the DNA and all of the testing that we need to have done. That's number one. Number two, as it relates to prosecution, I have been very clear that Title 16 is not enough. Under Title 16, if you are 16 or 17 years of age, we can get you for rape 1, murder, robbery 1, burglary 1. But if you shoot someone and don't kill them, I don't have jurisdiction. It goes to the Attorney General, the State Attorney General, Brian Schwab, and the focus is family court rehabilitation. Now, I was a family court judge in New York for a short period of time. The mission there is not punishment, it's rehabilitation, as evidenced by, do we have those posters? Yeah, we had a poster with what you get is yoga, and you get ice cream socials in family court. Well, I'm done with yoga and ice cream socials. We've got to change the law to bring them into the justice system. We've got to get rid of the 3 statutes or 3 laws passed by the D.C. Council. Number one is the Youth Rehabilitation Act, where you basically say with the Youth Rehabilitation Act that what we're going to do is we're going to say, if you're sentenced and you're under the age of 25, that the judge can give you probation irrespective of what the crime is. That's nonsense. And that's why a judge, and you're tired of hearing about me say this, that's why a judge gave a 19-year-old 2-3 weeks ago, and I wrote an op-ed piece, gave a 19-year-old probation, and I understand it's 2 years probation to go to college with no mandate, for getting on a public bus with an illegal gun, shooting an individual in the chest, which to me is intent to kill. And he walked away, after we convicted him, he walked away with no jail time. If that's what you want in this district, then I'm the wrong person to be United States Attorney. Number one, the Incarceration Reduction Act. The Incarceration Reduction Act that the D.C. left-leaning council passed says if you're 25 years old and you were sentenced to 15 years as a young kid for probably murder, even a serial murderer, we can let you out if you're 25. We can let you out because, not because you're rehabilitated, not because the offense wasn't that bad, but because we can. And that's got to go. All right? And the third thing is record sealing. I go through all of the effort to get a conviction, and they want to seal the convictions. They want to say, we want to seal convictions after 5 years. If I'm a mother, and thank God my kids are older, if I'm a mother, I want to know if a nanny has an assault conviction. If I'm an employer, I want to know if this person has been convicted of larceny or petty larceny. Or if, say, I'm not in a public school, but I got a private, teaching a tennis group. I need to know if this guy's a predator, a pedophile. Everything about the D.C. Council's focus is defendant-oriented. I'm oriented to these people, and the people of the district are as well.
You just walked through the
this federal takeover that you talked about a little bit. Well, you talked a lot
I don't have any special powers. I wish I did.
But can you also talk about where you stand on hiring prosecutors and judges?
I am, I am, I'm not going to bore you with the facts. Don't quote me on that. That was off the record. I can only hire during certain periods once there's been an ad or some kind of posting, and then I can hire. Okay, I'm doing it. I'm doing the best I can. The president has given me the permission to hire. This is an office that has been neglected. And I'll say it publicly. It's been neglected. With people signing contracts, they didn't know what they were signing. All right, it just kind of ran on its own. Not anymore. This is an office where nobody seemed to care that we were down 90 lawyers, 60 investigators, and paralegals. I do. And so my effort is to get people who want to work in the nation's capital, who want to work in the largest United States Attorney's office in the country, and the best office. Because we're not just federal prosecutors, we're local prosecutors. We get down and dirty on street crime. And that is what really motivates a lot of my prosecutors.
You just walked through the changes you'd like to see from the punitive aspects. What about preventative? Do you or the president plan to do anything to address the root causes of crime in D.C., such as truancy?
My job is to try to heal the victims and prosecute the criminal. Everybody else can deal with rehabilitating the individual. I honestly am not concerned about why they commit crimes. My concern is if they commit crimes. My concern is the victims of the crimes. That's my job as a U.S. attorney. Go ahead.
But just follow up on that quickly.
Is a felony one. And right
Yeah.
now, D.C. Superior Court judges are scheduling felony one trials in 2027, in part because there are 13 vacancies right now that's going to grow in January. The president has only nominated one D.C. Superior Court judge. It's a process that takes a while with Congress because of D.C.'s rules. Have you talked to the president about
Yeah.
this? Is the White House moving forward
Yes.
with more nominees? You're going to need these judges to
Yep.
get these done.
As recently as yesterday, I spoke with the president, and I have spoken to the president before about these vacancies. The president wants these vacancies filled as soon as possible because, like everyone in this room, it's common sense. It's not fair to the victims, to the families. It's not fair to the defendant. Why should the defendant who's charged with a crime have to live with a case for 3 years because there's not enough judges? We're all on the same page about what makes sense and what's fair. And so we're working on that. There's a whole thing with the Judicial Nominating Commission, and then they have to get approved, and then we have to get the Senate to approve.
When can we expect step one?
You can ask the Senate.
No, the names from the president. He has to know. When can we expect names? For the
Soon.
Superior Court?
Very soon.
Weeks?
Soon.
You said a redistribution of resources by the FBI.
Okay, you're out of time? That means he's had enough. Goodbye. Thank you. I want you to report on
But you said it's guns. You said it's guns on the street that's causing this problem. Are you concerned that the DOJ's funding cuts to gun violence prevention programs undermine the effort?
Stop it. We are putting all kinds of resources onto the street.
But what about the gun aspect of the gun violence?
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Martin issued a press release hailing the drop in crime rates at the end of it. What changed?
It's never enough. This changed. This changed. It's never enough. You tell these families crime has dropped. You tell the mother of the intern who was shot going out from McDonald's near the Washington Convention Center, oh, crime is down. You tell the kid who was just beat the hell and back with a severe concussion and a broken nose, crime is down. No, that falls on deaf ears. And my ears are deaf to that. And that's why I fight the fight. Thank you.
Thank you very much for being.
That was definitely Judge Jeanine. She's changed the trajectory of how cases are going to be solved in DC. All right, let's see. Let's do Jesse. Things are changing, ladies and gentlemen.
There's a new episode of Cops airing tonight, and President Trump makes an appearance. Well, not exactly. 47 saw Vance, Hegseth, and Miller out with the men and women in uniform yesterday and wanted to get in on the action. So he swung by a base and gave a pep talk to the boys in blue. We kind of wish he had went on patrol and made some arrests. Maybe next term. He didn't bring a billy club. He brought pizza. Pies from Wise Guys as high as an elephant's eye.
We're going to have some fun. We'll eat, and I'll eat with you, and we're going to have a little fun. We're going to celebrate, but then we're going to get back to work, and we're going to take care of these criminals.
Just in case the guys wanted red meat, he brought burgers. And they're not the only ones eating good. Trump says if you live in D.C., it's family night.
I've never received so many phone calls thanking me for what we've done in Washington, D.C., from people that haven't gone to a restaurant literally in 4 years. They said we couldn't stand it, sir. And now I take my wife and my kids to dinner. One of them said he's gone out 4 nights in a row, and he hadn't gone out for 4 years.
It's restaurant week in D.C., and business is going gangbusters because Trump's been busting up gangs. If it's date night, even better. After a romantic dinner, take her on a stroll through Trump's big, beautiful park and roll around in the grass.
One of the things we're going to be redoing is your parks. I'm very good at grass because I have a lot of golf courses all over the place. I know more about grass than any human being, I think, anywhere in the world. And we're going to be regrassing all of your parks, all brand new sprinkler systems, the best that you can buy, just like the Augusta. It'll look like Augusta. It'll look like, more importantly, Trump National Golf Club. That's even better.
It's not just new sod. The entire city's getting a facelift.
You do the job on safety, and I'll get this place fixed up physically, and we're going to be so proud of it at the end of 6 months, but let's say at the end of a year, this place will be maxed out in terms of beauty. You'll have all new surfaces. You'll have all new medians. Everything's going to look beautiful. A lot of your signs are going to be taken down. They've been up for 40 years. They look like hell.
If the cops can lock them all up, Trump's going to Mar-a-Lago the Capitol. Yellow brick roads, new flagpoles. The YMCA plays when you wait for the light to change. On the campaign trail, Trump hopped in the garbage truck and took out the trash. Now he's doing a different kind of cleaning. The media is having trouble keeping up. They're cranky that there could be congestion.
Now, tonight, the president deciding he's going to go out and be front and center in this crackdown. What do you make of it?
The Trump show is exhausting. This soon-to-be ride-along. Chris, you have covered the White House. You know when the president moves, what happens? Streets get closed.
People were getting carjacked, and this guy's worried about traffic. Johnny went to D.C. this week. He didn't get his butt kicked like Big Balls, but trust me, people wanted to. So what do the people in the district think? Here's Johnny.
Is DC a safe place?
No. Not safe for our communities.
You'll be all right.
All my friends in DC don't ever drive because they know they might get car mugged or something.
I got jumped at the corner store right there by the gas station Greenway. Why the is this not locked up? She even pepper sprayed her own daughter. And she's an 8-year-old. What you mean?
We're in a nice part of town, so let's
level with each other here. We're in Georgetown.
Yeah.
I'm suggesting that you leave before I have to get snooty.
Is it okay to walk around Washington, D.C. all by yourself at night?
No, nobody should do that. I would say for a guy.
They got robbed a few months ago. I know people who have been shot.
I feel like I can defend myself.
You got your guns.
Not in DC, I wish.
Yeah! Does DC have a gang problem?
DC is one of the only places in America where you will not find gangs.
Do you know which DC gang I'm afraid of?
Which gang?
The Democrats.
We will win! We will win!
We're here at Union Station where President Trump has mobilized the National Guard. This used to be homeless city. Homeless people sprawled out all over the place. And now, nobody's here, except for a bunch of Trump protesters. President Trump mobilized the National Guard. He says he wants to make D.C. safe and beautiful again. Was that a good idea?
It's not the solution.
Well, if there's more police on the ground, could that possibly have prevented you from getting robbed?
No, you make a good point.
Definitely cleared up the riffraff out here.
That's not how you solve crime. You prosecute criminals, you have trials, and
First, you got to get the criminals. He says he wants to take all the graffiti out and make it beautiful.
What, are you going to get Shakespeare? We going to get Shakespeare to paint the whole world or something?
I think you're thinking of Picasso.
Bro.
Picasso, yeah, that's who you might got to get.
National Guard don't
Bro.
got nothing to do with Trump. They just obeying his rules.
You're right. You're right.
So,
Okay.
doing
I
their
agree
job.
with my husband.
Can we just give it up
Well, that shit
again
was-
for my husband?
Have the streets been safer?
Cleaner, doesn't feel ratchet.
they feel no different.
People is walking on eggshells. Like, you walk across the street right now, you might get locked up for jaywalking.
I jaywalk all the time.
Oh, yeah, you going to jail. Oh, yeah.
She's going to jail.
The Democrats say crime is down. Does it feel like crime is down?
Well, we're learning that they fudged the numbers.
It feels like nothing has changed.
No, crime just got more secretive.
What is the root causes to crime in D.C.?
The poverty.
Not enough jobs.
Black on black crime.
You don't have like the pickpocketing.
You have the carjacking, though.
Yeah, to my knowledge.
But crime's not a problem.
That was off the record.
Who do you trust to keep you safe? President Trump or the Democrats?
We with Donald Trump.
Gonna have to be Trump.
We all need to work together.
Isn't it nice that Donald Trump's protecting you whether you like it or not?
I don't think it's necessary.
The Democratic Party.
Bro, he just got robbed.
Who's doing well right now?
Nobody.
Gavin's on a roll.
How do you like his tweets?
It's funny.
Don't you wish he was actually writing them, though?
Does Trump write his... Actually, we do know Trump writes his tweets.
Boom!
And then you start getting phone calls. Did you really say this? I say, what's wrong with that?
Who do you want to tell Jesse Waters on Fox News?
Keep the foxes alive.
Hey, Jesse!
We got the backflip for you.
Hey! Do you know who I am?
Who are you? Ain't tell me your name.
Here's Johnny.
Here's Johnny.
Hey,
My goodness,
So
this is
DC
fun.
let crime go up, but Democrats are so anti-Trump that they don't want it to go down. Jazzy Jellyfish says safety's racist.
Now we are in yet another Black woman-led city.
All right, here we go.
And taking over. And to me, it goes again to the level of racism and hate that is.
Shut up. Just shut up, please. Please, shut up. And make a comment without saying taller. A black woman or a black man or racism or this or that. People are getting robbed. You need to shut up, bro. And I respect you. But you just gotta shut up on this issue. And just make sense. All right? African American are dying on solved murder cases. You happen to be African American. Shouldn't you be happy that these people, these families are going to get some sort of justice? But no, he's taking over a city that's led by a black woman. Why? These folks, ladies and gentlemen, it's over.
Is constantly spewed out of this administration. But listen, I mean, if it walk like a duck, quack like a duck, then I guess it is a duck. So, like, racism is racism, and you are specifically targeting these Black-led areas.
Bro, nobody cares,
CNN
bro.
says,
Nobody cares about all this stuff, bro. Racism, all that. Bro, we voting Republicans. Like, right now, we don't care about none of that. Result, performance, that's what we're looking at. Even if you're green, even if you are orange, even if you're pink, we don't care. Your color doesn't matter right now. What matters is, can you perform? Are you capable? Can you do your job efficiently? Who cares about colors? Now we got to run that back real fast. I mean, that guy right there, this is what America looks like. This is what people are actually experiencing on the street. I don't see racism right yet. Tell me if you see racism right
Who are
Nah,
you?
ain't tell me your name.
Here's Johnny.
Here's Johnny.
This is what America looks like, ladies and gentlemen. Don't let people lie to you. That man is Caucasian. All the guys are African American. Everybody lives like this in the United States every single day. We all have African Americans as neighbors, and we have Caucasians as neighbors. That's what we do every day. That's how we live our lives every day. But these folks would make you think otherwise.
So D.C. let crime go up, but Democrats are so anti-Trump that they don't want it to go down. Jazzy Jellyfish says safety's racist.
Now we are in yet another Black woman-led city and taking over. And to me, it goes again to the level of racism and hate that is constantly spewed out of this administration. But listen, I mean, if it walk like a duck, quack like a duck, then I guess it is a duck. So like racism is racism, and you are specifically targeting these Black-led areas.
CNN says, who cares if your family gets shouted down by homeless druggies before you catch a train?
I've taken my kids to the Amtrak Union Station, and we have been yelled at by vagrants. We have been yelled at by homeless people who are on drugs. We have actually witnessed people do drugs at the Union Station.
I've been yelled at in a lot of train stations across this country that are, well, nor should I. But my point is, it doesn't just happen in places like D.C. So is the National Guard going to go to every 50 states?
Is Trump going to send the National Guard to all 50 states? More on that later. CNN's even upset that bad hombres.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, of course, the commander-in-chief, the 45th, now the 47th, doesn't sleep. It is currently 1:45 South. That's where I'm at. I'm in the South. And of course, D.C. and Georgia, well, D.C. and Atlanta has the same time zone. So he just tweeted, he says, big win today against the totally corrupt and incompetent New York State Attorney General Letitia James and her equally incompetent hand-picked New York State judge. The 5-0 verdict from the appellate division helps greatly to save the status and reputation of the New York judicial system. Letitia James is a criminal who should be forced to resign. He just put that on Truth Social. This is my president who I voted for. When I vote you, my vote is very precious, okay? When I vote you into any office, you can't be sleeping. You cannot sleep because I don't even sleep. You are the president. You should not be sleeping. You better not be sleeping. You better not. And that's why I really admire Trump. He rests, he gets his rest, but he works like a horse.
Accused of molesting teens are being rounded up.
And new video shows federal officers detaining a man on the National Mall. We want to warn our viewers, some might find this video disturbing. Watch this.
Why are you crying, bro?
He was saying in Spanish he was here to work and not to be arrested. A person with the same name who faced similar charges had them dropped without prosecution.
Yeah, the charges only got dropped because the victim's mom got scared and went MIA. But what's disturbing about that video? Has he never seen Live PD? MSNBC, I mean, Miss Now, is afraid bad guys might get tased.
Last week, there was a call in which it was announced that all FBI agents would be equipped with tasers. Now, that sounds like no big deal because a lot of police officers have tasers, but that is not what FBI agents do. They don't patrol the streets, right? And so that sent a message to a lot of my sources, wow, things are really changing here and not for the good.
Let me get this straight. FBI agents can kick down the doors at Mar-a-Lago, infiltrate kidnapping rings, and hunt down terrorists, but if you hand them a taser, they don't know what to do? Trump called in the Guard to post up in the touristy areas, a good show of force. And it frees up D.C. police to sweep bad neighborhoods. And crime went poof.
But with the Guard on the ground, crime is on the decline. For the first time in a long time, D.C. has gone 7 days without a homicide. And that's not all. Carjackings are down 83%. Robberies are down 46%. Car thefts down 21%. And overall violent crime is down 22%.
In the middle of August, no murder. That's historic. And U.S. Attorney Judge Jeanine's the busiest woman in the Capitol. She's throwing the book in every direction.
We are here in D.C., where the president's surge to make D.C. safe and beautiful again is working. Last night we had 53 arrests. 10 guns were taken off the street, making it a total of 630 arrests and 86 guns taken off the street. So what does that mean? That means those guns cannot be used to shoot or kill anyone. So as the president continues to make D.C. safe, we will continue to prosecute the cases, support the blue, and get those guns.
Democrats keep saying, well, crime was already going down. You don't need the Guard. Well, homicides in D.C. hit a 30-year high just 2 years ago. So, okay, it's down from a 30-year high in an election year. But did crime actually go down? Or did Washington fudge the numbers?
We'll go to a scene where somebody's shot. There's shell casings. They've got bullet holes in them, but maybe they're not cooperative with the police, which is not uncommon in some parts of the city. And the captain will tell them, hey, look, let's just take injured person to the hospital instead of a shooting report, which that makes it an incident, not a crime. It's not followed up on. It never gets reported to the FBI, and it never goes down as a shooting stat.
The city transitioned attempted homicide to jaywalking, and they caught one guy red-handed at a computer.
Back in May, we found out that a police commander of a police district was stripped of his police authority and suspended. The allegation was that he was going into police databases and changing felonies to misdemeanors to keep crime stats trending lower in his district.
So they were telling us that crime was down, but it's not what it seemed like when you looked around. I mean, even politicians were getting carjacked and sucker punched and robbed. Every night there was a shooting on the local news. How much you want to bet other cities were underreporting crime for better headlines and political props? All of this is about to stop. What Trump's doing in D.C. is a blueprint for every other city in the country. Have the Guard give the locals some breathing room so they can target the trigger pullers.
We're not playing games. We're going to make it safe. And we're going to then go on to other places. But we're going to stay here for a while. We want to make this absolutely perfect.
And if you're not from a big city, and you want to bring your kids to the Air and Space Museum and want to show your wife the cherry blossoms, you know she likes those cherry blossom shots on Instagram.
Bro.
Well, now you can visit.
Look, I grew up in a small town. I love our beautiful countryside and our rural areas, but I love our big cities too. And I want you to be able to go shopping or go and get a nice meal with your family without the fear that you're going to get mugged or even worse because you had the audacity to take your family out for a day in one of our great American cities.
No matter what anybody says, America, if you were born in America, if your parent gave birth to you in America, you are already 70 to 80% better than everybody in the world. And that's just on default. Just being born in the United States. Do you know how many countries we have in the world? About 200. Half of that is like third world country. I know you know that, right? But most people don't know. You just take it for granted. America is not all that. It's not all that. Do you even know what you're talking about? Do you know what the United States is? You folks. All right, here we go.
Vice President Vance firing back at people protesting the federal takeover of D.C.'s police department. Take a listen.
This is the guy who thinks people don't deserve law and order in their own community.
Pete Hegseth and Stephen Miller were also on hand. They were there to thank National Guardsmen who've been protecting Union Station. Here's what the vice president told Laura Ingraham.
I had heard from a couple of friends who used to avoid Union Station because there were vagrants and there were crazy people screaming at kids that they avoided Union Station. But over the past 9 days, since the president did this emergency order, it looks a lot better. It feels a lot safer. So I was talking with Stephen Miller and with Pete Hegseth about this in the Oval Office yesterday. And I was like, we should just go over there and say hello to people. And you've got a lot of National Guardsmen over there, some DC cops who have been heckled by some of the protesters. So I thought, what a good show of moral support to have the vice president and some of the senior team at the White House show up. We bought him some burgers, hang out with him a little bit.
And President Trump writing on Truth Social, quote, just like our southern border is now 100% secure, Washington, D.C. is safe again, and we have just begun the process of revival. Lucas Tomlinson live in D.C. this morning with more on this. Hi, Lucas.
Good morning, Bill. A show of force by the Trump administration at Union Station, the nation's capital. The vice president, defense secretary, and deputy chief of staff showing their support to National Guard soldiers and the police and drawing the ire of protesters. Let's hear more from that video.
This is the guy who thinks people don't deserve law and order in their own community. I know that we've traded now some violent, crazy people who are screaming at kids with a few crazy liberals who are screaming at the vice president, but I think that's a very worthwhile trade to make because we want our people to be able to enjoy our beautiful cities.
Now, for context, Bill, last year the murder rate in Washington, D.C. was nearly 4 times higher than in your home in Los Angeles and nearly 6 times more than where you are right now in New York. D.C. police claims violent crime is down 27% this year. The Justice Department would like a word and is now investigating those numbers. Now, since this new show of force in D.C. with the National Guard and feds patrolling the streets, violent crime is down 30% and robbery down nearly 50%. Attorney General Pam Bondi providing an operational update this morning on X, posting, we've now made a total of 630 arrests and seized 86 illegal guns in D.C. 53 arrests were made yesterday, plus 24 ICE arrests and 10 guns taken off the streets. Here's Stephen Miller.
We're going to dismantle those networks, and we're going to prove that a city can serve for the law-abiding citizens who live there. We are not going to let the communists destroy a great American city, let alone the nation's capital.
Miller also referred to those protesters as, quote, elderly white hippies, Bill.
Heard that one. All right, Lucas Tomlinson live in D.C. for us this morning. Lucas, thanks.
And Will Kane joins us now. Great to have you. Love seeing you at 4 o'clock, right before the 5. But right now, I want to ask you about this because D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser, she was asked about that visit to Union Station. Watch here.
Do you think placing the troops at major transit hubs or monuments is the most strategic deployment instead of, say, high crime areas?
I don't think the National Guard should be used for law enforcement. And I think calling men and women from their homes and their jobs and their families, they have to be used on their, on mission-specific items that benefit the nation. I don't think you have
this benefits the nation, ma'am,
in the nation's capital.
No, ma'am, you're not getting this right. Ma'am, you are not getting this right. This actually benefits the nation, especially your city. You should be glad. You should not be protesting. This doesn't make you look bad like you're not actually good at your job. It actually helps you perform better. Because if everything starts working out better in DC, you're going to take the credit because they're going to say, who's the mayor of DC? And it's going to be you. So don't feel like Trump is trying to make you feel like you're useless or no. Just take the help. Everybody needs help. I get it. Sometimes Trump takes up too much space. Sometimes it's like you don't exist if he's around. So she might be feeling like that. However, you're still the mayor. Relax and enjoy the help. Cooperate and work with them.
I can understand sort of the hesitation from a local official about National Guard troops, but if you think about those statistics that Lucas Tomlinson just revealed, if it's successful, there's not going to be a lot of argument.
No. Good morning to you, Dana, and to you as well, Bill. The starting quarterback would never argue that he should be benched in favor of the backup quarterback. The analogy in this case being it is the primary job of local police to handle crime. When you fail, you bring in the backup, which in this case is the National Guard. And it's working. This backup quarterback has basically a perfect completion percentage and is marching the team to the end zone. Stats on crime are good. You just heard from Lucas. We talked about him on the Will Cain Show. I think carjacking is down 83%. Wow. So Muriel Bowser can say this, and by the way, Washington, D.C. is different than Chicago or L.A., and the federal government's relationship with D.C. is different than it is with other cities. So in this case, the National Guard has stepped up, and it looks like right now it's working, which people will like for their quality of life.
Will, I'm sure it's going to shock you to hear this, but the national media, not big fans of this D.C. surge with the feds and not fans of the visit by VP Vance and Stephen Miller and Pete Hegseth to Union Station yesterday. Take a listen. We'll get your thoughts on the other side.
For them to talk about that these policies or bringing the National Guard is to actually make it safer for black communities is actually insulting.
J.D. Vance took his campaign for the Republican presidential nomination to Union Station today to bring Shake Shack burgers to the National Guard troops who are foolishly now deployed to Union Station to do absolutely nothing.
They did not go to Union Station yesterday for fun. They did not go there to talk to the National Guard. They knew there were protesters there. They knew they went there to be on TV and to get these moments and get everyone talking.
Pretty tough crowd to please there, Will.
You know, Bill, I think that every day the positions taken by and the behavior displayed by Democrats in the media is an absolute gift to Republicans. We already know that on most issues at this point, they're choosing the 15% option, where the majority of Americans, 85%, might be on the other side of the issue. But in their behavior, the way those protesters acted at Union Square, they're actually becoming a gift to J.D. Vance, to Pete Hegseth, to Donald Trump. They're an absolute gift. And if that media doesn't know this, they are the on-screen paid version of those people in Union Square screaming at J.D. Vance. So my point is, you're not only unrepresentative at this point of most of America, but you're a gift to the people.
This situation right here should not be a partisan situation. It is not Democrat versus Republicans. It's not, well, because you guys are MAGA or you guys are in favor of Gavin Newsom or whatever. Look, this right here is just keeping America safe. Whether you are left or right doesn't matter. It is country before party. I don't really know how much more I can explain that to you guys, but okay.
People that disagree with you, you're a joke.
The vice president was also asked by Laura about the Democrats and what the challenges, and also about the midterms, and here's how he's thinking about it.
Sounding like crazy people. That really is all it is. You've got to be yourself. You've actually got to talk to people honestly about the issues. I don't think it's that complicated. Don't be a crazy person. Be authentic.
Is this a moment where we could see the midterm curse reversed and the Republican Party gain some ground?
I think we have a good chance, but take nothing for granted. Keep on achieving victories for the American people and keep on trying to win. That's our path to being able to continue to govern this country.
This week has been a study in contrast between what the Republicans were trying to do, and you saw that in terms of going to Union Station. Call it a photo op if you want, but they're showing what's happening. Meanwhile, you do have the strangeness going on with the Democrats this week.
You know, Dana, you know this better than I, but the midterm curse, as referenced by Laura in that clip with the vice president, is that the party in power almost always loses the House in a midterm election that has all the ingredients that we have in government today. But we have a couple of things in play. First of all, obviously, you have what's happening in Texas with redistricting, with the potential to give 5 new Republican seats. On top of that, we did these numbers yesterday, Dana, and you probably have seen them and talked about them as well, but voter registration is completely down for Democrats. Men, people under 45, just like an enthusiasm, unwillingness to be signed up, register to vote as a Democrat, is down something like 20%, 30%. It's vastly down. So there's some signs that point here to Republicans being able to retain the House, which would give Donald Trump 2 more years of, we'll call it, not just ability to govern, but avoidance of chaos. Because should the Democrats win the House, you're going to talk about, I don't know, impeachment and chaos and obstruction.
They've got a shot.
And Will, real quick, want to get your thoughts on the Pete and Bobby challenge. You just took part in it. If we can pull up this full screen right here. You beat everybody, all right? So if people don't know, the Pete and Bobby challenge is 100 push-ups and 50 pull-ups within 10 minutes. You did it in 5 minutes and 12 seconds, beating your good friend, Secretary Pete Hegseth, by 13 seconds. Will, you wanna brag for a second here?
No, I'm not going to dunk. I have a couple of points. Just give me a little runway. I challenged Dana, your co-host on The Five, Jesse Waters. I need to see the video. I know he said he did it, but I need to see the video. I would not challenge Bill Maloogian. I'm nervous. I think that guy's going to beat me, so I'm not going to do that. But isn't it a little rich today? You see Democrats like Congressman Jason Crow criticizing the Secretary of Defense pull-up form on pull-up number 45, 46, and 47. I'd like to see Congressman Crow not do 10 perfect ones, but bang out 50. Then we'll talk. All the Democrats like Adam Kinzinger seem today to be the guy at the gym who watches someone do something hard and jumps in at the end and goes, no, here's how you do it. Everybody in America should do this. Get fit.
You should see, we're going to have a plank challenge. I'm kidding.
Are we? I was about to say.
I mean, we could.
Dana.
You need to get on it. The Dana. Not the Dana on TV, but the Dana in the chat. The Dana in the chat, the godmom of the channel, you need to get on the ground and give me 25. See, Shelly, we already know. All right. We already know good genes. And Sandra, well, thank you for your service. Sandra has done great service. Okay. But you still need to give me at least 15. Okay, at least 15. Okay. 10 push-ups, 5 pull-ups. All right. Jet. Now, what we going to say, Jet? Where's Enders? Enders, where are you? Time for pull-up and push-up. Everybody runs away. Everybody runs away. When it is time to get feet, everybody runs away. All right, here we go.
At any moment, President Trump will walk the beat with law enforcement. His motorcade is currently moving with Pam Bondi and Stephen Miller. But in the meantime, it's a full-blown gerrymander arms race. The Texas House passing a redistricting map with 5 potential new red seats for Republicans. In retaliation, the California Assembly passed their redistricting plan aimed at giving Dems 5 more seats in the House. Greasy got so mad he dropped 2 R words.
This is radical.
Yeah. CRXR. Yeah, I forgot. CRXR. Yeah, you need to give me at least 30. At least 30.
Of a midterm election. Radical rigging of an election. Destroying, vandalizing this democracy. The rule of law. So I'm sorry. I know some people's sensibilities. I respect and appreciate that. But right now, with all due respect, we're walking down a damn different path. We're fighting fire with fire, and we're going to punch these sons of in the mouth.
I love,
bro.
Again, fight fire with fire. Kind of doesn't really work after what you did to California. Barry O is giving Gavin's gambit an attaboy. Barack Obama says California's redistricting move is a responsible approach to Republican tactics, and libs were reacting to the Texas maps by calling it racist.
It is clear that the districts they're going after are not only Democratic, but they're mostly black or brown.
A part of racial gerrymandering, as part of the racialist and racist agenda of the Trump administration.
You can wave all the flags you want to, but I am telling you right now that the most unpatriotic people that we have in this country are MAGA and this president. We are the real patriots.
Donald Trump's rigged maps that disenfranchise black and brown voters.
This is more of an action of an authoritarian.
I have to leave. They said it's a felony for me to do this. Apparently, I can't be on the floor or in the bathroom.
Kennedy, what kills me is I never see Democrats this passionate about anything. It's not about, I don't know, crime or immigration. It's about their vulnerability to some kind of little strategy that they've been doing for years. What gets them really passionate is power.
Yes, it is. That's all it is. It has always been a power grab, no matter where there has been redistricting, which has happened for years and years and years. The Supreme Court hasn't wanted to take it up, and Gavin Newsom is being incredibly disingenuous here. Now, of course, California is run by Democrats. They have a Citizens Redistricting Commission, and they're the ones who decide the maps. They say it's not partisan, but everything is partisan in California, and it is all dictated by one side. But they can't just do it the way they did in Texas. They actually have to put this on the ballot. So the assembly has to vote to make this a ballot measure, and then the citizens will decide. But since California is overwhelmingly Democratic, the chances of them getting an even bigger slice of the congressional pie is very, very high. There's already a higher number of Democrat congressional seats in California than there are Democrats in California. There aren't as many Republicans, but they do not have appropriate representation here. Democrats have been waiting for this. Unfortunately, the math is not on their side because they've already gerrymandered their state. So since Republicans haven't been playing this hand, they actually have more cards to play here with places like Indiana and Florida and, some of the other states that are trending red.
That's a good point. The Dems are just mad that the Republicans are playing the game that they've been playing. Now they say it's not fair because we kind of wised up.
Then there was this hearing today also where the Democrats in the legislature wouldn't want to answer any questions, and they brought in this witness who would not tell them who he was, where he was from, or who was funding him. And I think that if the people of California are going to have to go through this, they deserve to know that information. But there's one other thing that really is interesting about the Gavin Newsom piece, aside from the performative antics from the week. People can decide what they think about it. But do you remember we talked about Prop 36? This was the legislation that passed by 70%, a bipartisan deal to make crime illegal again in California. And he is refusing to fund it.
Yeah.
He won't put the funds towards implementing it. And guess what? The funds that would go towards implementing it, it's the same exact cost as this redistricting. That's pretty rich.
That's true, Jessica. In a way, if they just paid attention to voters' concerns and less on redistricting, they wouldn't even need to redistrict.
No, that's absolutely not true.
Is it racist? I don't know. I mean, if gerrymandering is racist, then it was racist when they did it. We're all racist, Jessica. Just admit it.
I am not a racist.
And that's what a racist would say.
You guys rehearse this stuff before you come out here. I heard this is a power grab on the part of the Democrats, and they've been doing this. We do not redistrict mid-cycle. We do not elect people to the Oval Office who call up governors and say, get me 5 more seats no matter what you have to do. We also don't elect people who ask for more votes than they actually earned. This is about what the Republicans are doing because they know that they're going to lose the midterms.
No,
and I get
arrest people because you can't beat them.
Oh, stop
Yeah, you just swing an election so you get a dead guy in the office.
He's not dead. There's footage of him all the time, Greg.
Yes, that's deep fakes.
I get it. Some people might not like how Gavin Newsom is talking.
I love
You
it.
might not find his posts funny. It is absolutely working. His fundraising numbers for this just came out. 6.2 million from this week, 200,000 individual donors. And
That is the only thing they can do. Raise money. That's all they do. Raise money. They do all of this stuff on X or Instagram or social media, any social media platform, to raise money. That's all they do. The same thing with Kamala Harris when she was running for the presidential seat of the United States. Everybody, including her, were all saying, well, it's working. She's raising money, record numbers. Yes, you're going to raise money because Democrats, hardcore Democrats, are always going to donate. They're going to donate to your cause, of course, or your cause. They're going to donate to your cause for sure. However, that's not going to help you win elections. Are you capable? That's the only thing that's going to help you win elections. Your past performances. And Gavin Newsom's past performance is definitely a D-, because there's no way the entire Palisades was gone under your regime, I would say, or your regime. You were the governor of California. You're still the governor of California, and you had no water in your fire hydrant. So raising money doesn't count for anything. Mr. Beast on YouTube raises money to feed children in Africa, in Asia. Anybody can raise money. We can decide to start raising money right now to feed homeless kids. Anybody can raise money. So when you say, well, it's working, he's raising money, that's what everybody does every day. The lady that got punched in Cincinnati, she raised money on GoFundMe. People donated to her GoFundMe. Does that mean she's going to run for the mayor of Cincinnati? No. Anybody can raise money, bro. But that doesn't mean you're going to win elections, because what actually helps you win elections are what have you done, especially now that Trump is the president of the United States. The bar is so high. If you have nothing to show for your term in office, it's over for you moving forward.
You have been having a problem in activating these
Do you want him
donors,
to be your nominee?
accounts.
Is he the guy?
I don't know. He's going to have to be in the primary with everyone
he
else.
has no
Fine.
achievements.
He is eating up the attention right now. He is on every single
But nobody
high-rated
likes
show.
him.
Jesse's talking.
Nobody
Who votes like you likes him, but every Democrat that I've spoken to has said, finally, someone is fighting for
Yes, but
us.
he hasn't. The thing is, he can't point to anything he's done. What about fire? What about crime? What about homelessness? What about businesses leaving? I mean, you can fall in love with the performance. I get it, but there's nothing underneath. Come on, Jessica. Give me one thing he's done besides his hair and his best friend's wife.
Nothing. Oh,
what are you even talking about?
I'm just trying to think of his achievements, and that's the only thing I could do. I got one deep.
He is making you talk about him all the time, which is what he wants to do.
Oh, man, come on, man. You can't even say one thing he's done. As a governor of California, you cannot say one thing. Or he's making people talk about Trump. That's the thing about Democrats. Every single thing they care about is Donald J. Trump. Every time. Trump. We got to stop Trump. We did it, Trump. It's all about Trump. It's like, do you live your life thinking about Trump? I mean, eat breakfast first.
Friend's wife.
Oh, wow. What are you even talking about?
I'm just trying to think of his achievements, and that's the only thing I could do. I got one deep.
He is making you talk about him all the time, which is what he wants to do. And Donald Trump knows more than anyone. He's the topic.
I didn't bring him up.
Donald Trump, of all people, knows that if they're talking about you, that's a good thing for you.
Yeah, but the difference is Trump actually did things in his life that were good for people, not bad to his friends. Jesse?
Not bad to his friends?
Yeah.
Really? Did he stiff like every contractor who's worked for him? Talk to people.
All right.
Jesse?
Yes.
I'm going to go to you.
Okay.
And ask you this question.
Please don't ask me about redistricting.
All right. What do you have to say on this topic?
I was going to say that I've never seen anybody detransition like Gavin Newsom. The guy was married to Kimberly Guilfoyle, okay?
Yeah.
And then goes crazy, starts marching in gay pride parades, starts locking down like Fauci and crying on television. Now he's talking like Mike Tyson. Give me a break. Jessica is right, though. His media team has game. They're spitting all this hot stuff, these memes. I think it's funny. He said all your audience does is fake laugh at your dumb jokes. I think that's hilarious. But we had
daddy stuff with you.
We had the governor of Florida on last night, and DeSantis said, this guy talks a big game, but no one can get a permit to rebuild their house in the Palisades.
Thank you.
Yeah. So it's all sizzle, no steak. I have a feeling like this guy reminds me of Beto O'Rourke. He's like the Beto of San Francisco. Tall, slim, moves his hands a lot, but makes noise, but no one respects him. Gavin's like the guy that always wanted to be a politician and just happened to grow up in San Francisco. So he's like, all right, I'll just be a Democrat. If I got my hands on him, I could totally bring out the potential in him. He is like one of those guys that first round draft pick, kind of a risky move, a lot of potential, but also poor work ethic, a lot of baggage. But if you could just get him in front of some good coaching, maybe send him to the combine. He's got a fast mouth, hot wife, looks good in a suit. But the problem is he doesn't have that first-round quarterback moxie that can rally a locker room. And that's really what you do when you gamble on these guys. Two problems, big. Nancy Pelosi is his mentor. You never want to have a female mentor if you're a guy.
Really?
Yes. It's obvious. Second, he's not strong enough. Americans want power, and Democrats really want power. They want an FDR, they want a Trump, they want a Teddy Roosevelt, someone to come in and knock heads together. Gavin Newsom has never shown an ability to not care what the radical left thinks and just do what he thinks is right. So until he gets that, he's got nothing.
He's the Shadur Sanders of presidential politics.
Hey, it's still early.
Jesse. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you want to keep going or you want to call it a night? I think we should call it a night, or we could do one more. We could do one more. But failed.
Away. Happy Thursday, everyone. Good to see y'all. Good to see y'all, my friend Juan Williams. So Donald Trump did a ride-along earlier tonight with police and troops in Washington, D.C. Not to be outdone, Biden did the same thing in Delaware.
Oh my God.
And a huge victory for Trump. A court threw out a $500 million fraud judgment against him. New York AG Letitia James is pretty pissed off, saying she's not used to getting her suits thrown out, just let out. Because she's fat. 70,000 Cambodian monks have nominated Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize. But the White House asserts this has nothing to do with the newly opened Trump monastery in Cambodia. Democrat Senator Amy Klobuchar says clips of her saying Sydney Sweeney has perfect breasts are fake videos, but admitted she did say Governor Tim Walz rocks a solid B cup. Now, there is also a deep fake of Amy saying Democrats were too fat to wear jeans and too ugly to go outside. But experts say it was easy to spot that fake because rarely does a Democrat tell the truth. Yeah, they're fat. They're fat and they're ugly. Even their cute ones are ugly. You notice that? Yeah. Kristi Noem says the border wall will be painted black, making it so hot it's harder to climb. They're also going to add cameras. So now you'll be filmed while you climb something big and black. No wonder, I haven't even got to the punchline. No wonder Kim Kardashian just showed up.
No, Greg, you had a bunch of old ladies like getting mountain boots on.
A serial pedophile in Louisiana has agreed to be castrated as part of a plea deal. He was given a choice of having it done surgically or by marrying Meghan Markle. And finally, the very single Kathy Griffin said that she's never sent a vagina picture to anyone ever. Yeah, she doesn't want potential mates wondering who sent me this picture of the LA fires. At least I didn't say La Brea Tar Pits.
Live by there.
That was an old field trip. Okay. So how are Democrats fighting Trump's deportations? Forget Cinco de Mayo. Here's Stinko de Mayo. Oh, man. So they gave us a fiesta after a 4-year siesta. This happened in Boston, where Dems trotted out a mariachi band to protest ICE. It went on for 8 grueling minutes before the band had to return to their day jobs, trimming Rashida Tlaib's face. Let's watch some more.
Va el pastor con su rebaño
Al despuntar la mañana, el flautín.
Wow. Now, isn't it slightly racist having a mariachi band represent immigrants? That's like introducing Boston Mayor Wu with dancing chopsticks and a man dressed as a fortune cookie. Here's what she said.
Silence in the face of oppression is not an option. Stop attacking our cities to hide your administration's failures. Unlike the Trump administration, Boston follows the law. And Boston will not back down from who we are and what we stand for. Boston will never back down from being a beacon of freedom and a home for everyone.
Yeah, lady, have you ever been to an Irish bar in Boston? No, they're not exactly the model UN. I think it's still legal there to shoot someone wearing a New York Yankees hat. But stunts like these are why voters are fleeing Boston like men when Jerry Nadler enters the public restroom. Bostonians have bigger concerns than treating illegals like they're on a Carnival cruise. Concerns like cost of living, crime, jobs, and how to keep a boner while your girl talks dirty with a Boston accent.
Harder.
I'm gonna get letters for that.
Ah, you're wicked good. Harder.
Stop it.
Harder.
Between 2020 and 2024, Dems lost 2.1 million voters, while the GOP gained 2.4. They lost ground in all 30 states that track voter registration. It's because voters see two choices: the party of law and order or violent chaos, of hot actresses or odd men in women's spaces. Seriously, would you rather see Sydney Sweeney or Sydney's weenie? Now, Dems will point to polls that say deportations are unpopular. Of course they are. You're describing them as Gestapo-like kidnappings. If you reported them accurately, they'd be more popular than a bucket of dildos at a WNBA pro shop. Face it, the only poll that matters was on November 5th. You don't have to listen to the brain-dead media and deceptive Dems. They said Kamala was ahead, Trump was Hitler, Biden was as sharp as a chunk of Vermont cheddar. The media never pressed the Dems on the number of illegals in their state. If the left cared, they'd identify the size of the problem first. But for them, open borders was the solution. Pad the census, gain the seats. They filled a bucket, not worrying how much water it could carry. And they tried to top that bucket off before Biden kicked his. Now they're resisting federal law, turning on ICE agents. One illegal even accused ICE of abducting his wife. But turns out she was found dead after he was caught on camera dragging something from his home. And what's the left's reaction? Applauding him for recycling? Tens of thousands of migrant children were lost under Biden and were the bad guy. Hell, they weren't even happy with dealing the worst first. But to arrest one illegal with 15 convictions and 38 arrests, you got to sift through the millions that the Dems let in. But they never cared who the worst were. They conflated them with legals from the beginning. Hence, a mariachi band and not an MS-13 gang. To them, it's all the same. So screw Wu and all these sanctuary saps. Remember, they broke the system. They don't get to tell us how to fix it. When OJ offered to help look for Nicole's killer, we knew better than to accept the help. Which means it's time for
Greg's amazing and utterly helpful and no less sexy analogy. Now with 65% less body hair. Oh, yeah.
You know, a long time ago, I was at this bar and my lady friend threw up all over the floor. But the bar back had to come over and clean it up. So I pulled out a C note and I gave it to him. Well, I'll never forget the look on Geraldo's face when he took it. But as he mopped up the mess, me and the drunken broad, we didn't stand over him and say, ooh, I think you missed a spot. Oh, look over there. But that's what's happening here. The Dems threw up all over America with their up policies, and now they stand by and whine while we clean up their mess. No, you don't get a vote here. Trump was voted in, you were voted out. Americans made their decisions, so listening to you is a betrayal to them. Let's welcome tonight's guest. She's and Labor Day. And, well, it was something having to do with immigration. It would be, we'd be called fascist, Hitlerian, Nazi bigots.
Beyond everything you're being called right now. You know, it's just that ranks up right up there with Jill Biden, you know, calling Latinos breakfast tacos.
Yes.
And remember she mispronounced Predegas as Bogadas? I mean, how do you get that one wrong? But I didn't know illegal aliens there's only illegal aliens who listen to only mariachi bands.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't get that. But what the mayor was saying, she's making like federal law is optional. It's not optional. Federal law protects national borders. Mm-hmm. It's just like, you know, Obama took Arizona to court in 2012 when Arizona was trying to enforce its own state law. It's not optional. So, you know, she can say what she wants and think what she wants. It's coming. ICE just said today they're going to flood Boston with ICE officers to capture bad guys. So that's what's happening.
Yeah. Jim, what do you make of the mayor's kind of description of Boston? I've been there. Did you grow up there?
No.
Oh, you seem
do
like
have
you.
That vibe.
Yeah. You look somewhat racist and homicidal. You look like you might have dragged a homeless guy through like off the street and by accident at 4 a.m. and then threw him down to a ravine.
I did that in Jersey, not Boston.
But you go to Boston. It's
yeah.
a beacon of hope, diversity, and friendship. Is that what it is?
It's the whitest city in the world. That's why, does ICE really need Boston's help? Yeah. You know, the city of Boston help? You'll find the people that you're looking for. There's about 10 of them. You'll find them.
What?
Just walking down the street, you're going to see which ones probably aren't here legally.
People tell me that Boston's the only place where you actually hear, like, the stuff where you're not allowed to say on the TV, like in common conversation. There is like no, I don't know what you call real woke language there.
Yeah, but you can't understand it with their dumb accents. I don't know what they're talking about. But wait, did you see? I watched that full 8-minute video of the mariachi band.
Yeah.
That was so bad they should be deported. You know what's great? You think they had a tough time booking them? A mariachi band in Boston?
Yeah.
They might have been open for that gig.
Yes. You know what's amazing? I could see them like in Alligator Alcatraz while people are eating. You know how mariachi bands always come behind you? So irritating, Kat. You're like trying to eat and they come right behind you and they're like playing their little thing.
Well, you're supposed to be drunk.
Yes. That's the problem. It's not the mariachi band's problem. It's that you can't see that when you're sober.
Yeah, I don't know. You can. It's okay. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I look, again, I do think that there's a lot of middle ground between Biden's policies and Trump's policies. I get that for Trump's base, there's no middle ground. For the MAGA base, it's if you're illegal, you have to go. I'm extraordinarily clear on that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that, you know, for some people, that's not the case. Like in the vomiting analogy that you used, I think it's a little different because, first of all, public drunken vomiting is never peaceful. Second of all, I think that some people who have an issue with these policies are just saying, let's say, for example, that there was somebody drunkenly vomiting in a bar.
Yes.
And then there was someone else that was there. Maybe they were there illegally. Maybe they were underage, but they used a fake ID to get in the bar. But they were there like just trying to help, and someone was just pouring bleach on that person. So I think that there are some people who have issues, not with deporting the violent people, but people who are maybe here peacefully and trying to work. There's a lot of middle ground. And one of the best things about this country is that even when you're not in power, you do have the freedom to criticize the people who are, even when you lose.
That's a good point. But to have a middle ground, you have to have a policy on one end and on the other. I disagree with you. I don't think Biden had a policy. So there is no middle ground when there is no starting point. But I do get your point. Everybody's free to protest. But for a middle ground to exist, you have to go, what is your policy? Theirs was just throw out the gates and get the mariachi band, Tyrus. Tyrus, you lived in Boston.
Yes, I did. Even at 7 years old, I was like, yo, Ma, we got to get out of here. These guys are wicked stupid. Let's go. But I stayed in love with my teams.
Yeah.
I think we need to look at the bigger picture here.
Yes.
In the grand scheme of things. I think at some point, sometimes you have to be able to just go look in the mirror and say, this ain't working.
Yeah.
And I think the musical messages of the Democratic Party just aren't working.
Yes, they are.
And it's not, whether it's a mariachi band or a 60-year-old woman who's actually 20, but she looks 60, singing weird verses, we shall overcome, ice, go away, because we can't rhyme anything. They need to have somebody from American Idol just come out and say, I'm sorry, you're not getting the ticket. America's not going to accept you. Like, they need to stop with the singing and the stuff, because we get it why the camera's so close.
Yeah.
We get it. You don't need microphones at these events.
Mm-hmm.
The lady didn't have one, the mariachi band lady. She literally borrowed the speakers because if they pan back, there's nobody there.
Yeah.
Look at the crowd in the back picture there. They're not even enjoying the band themselves. Let the music go. The reason why you have an opening act is because you have no message. You have no argument. Only thing, just come out with a sign that says, we don't like Trump, meh. And that's it. Just do that. Because all this extra stuff, the mariachi band, you're just saying all the illegals are from Mexico.
Yeah,
that's not the case.
Yeah.
Right.
I wonder how many people were there, maybe just thinking it was like a street entertainment show, completely unaware they were at a protest.
I guarantee you, at least 20 people thought that there was going to be some kind of Mexican lunch afterwards.
Yes, they were going, where's the free burritos?
Where's the tortilla chips?
I would be livid. You got my mouth all ready for some Mexican food?
I want this.
This is it?
I want the street corn.
Yeah, where's Jill Biden? Where's Jill Biden's breakfast tacos?
Yes.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning into the live show. Yes, we have come to the end of the show. God bless you. Thank you for being here. Instead of looking for perfection, seek for consistency. Never give up on yourself. Never give up on your dreams. Never give up on God. Believe in yourself. Believe in your dreams. And believe in Almighty God. God is the greatest. Thank you for being here. You guys are awesome. Don't forget, love your neighbors. It is country before party. Whether you are a Democrat or Republican, nobody cares. Just love your country. And shout out to our esteemed members. Dr. Luke DeGoat, CRXR, God bless you for being here. Sandra, thank you so much for being here. Ellie Ingram, Ringmaster, God bless you. Also, I got to give a shout out to the moderators. I see you. C. Shelley, Good Jeans. I see you. Dana, godmother of the channel. God bless you, Dana. Shout out to Jet MVP. God bless you. Enders. I saw Enders a couple of hours ago. Okay. But we can't find him now. Busky, Bucket Master. I think he was here earlier as well, but I guess he had to get his beauty sleep just like C. Shelley. So thank you so much for being here, everybody. Rain Promo. I saw Rain Promo a couple of minutes ago. Shout out to Rain Promo as well. He's not a moderator. However, he is a patriot, okay? And everybody else who tuned in, God bless you. Don't forget, be nice, all right? A lot of people are going through so much. Depression, anxiety, loneliness, financial instability. A lot is going on. So try to be kind. Try to smile, okay? Just try to smile. All right? Just put a smile on your face, okay? God is in control. Whatever you're going through, God is your strength, all right? I know some people are like one paycheck away from being homeless. Stay strong. God is with you, all right? God is with you. Shout out to the law enforcement officers. Shout out to Ice Ice Baby. Shout out to the veterans. Shout out to the military personnel. You guys protect the homeland. Thank you so much for all that you do. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is your boy Genesis, and this is the Genesis Show. If you have watched up until now, like the Good Genes and the MVPs and the rest of them, God bless you. And then don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to turn on your notification bell. We are here every single day by God's grace. So it is 2:38 a.m. And of course, it is the 22nd of August, 2025. And I am signing out.